Everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Blunders Bothwellians Wounded Witch Edition, episode 3. You've just had your introduction music. It may change if I decide I don't like it, but for now, it's cheerful enough that I think it's a good idea. I've been looking for one for the Sunday party that's slightly less cheerful, because although they're still funny, they're more of a let's kill things kind of a group. So I feel like they need something that's slightly less upbeat. I'll do the official recap, shall I?
Yes.
Alrighty, so when you first woke up, so long ago, you found yourselves in the Walden Dungeon, thrown in there as punishment for your crimes of being caught at a sexy party. You managed to fight your way out of the dungeon, discovering a little bit about the mystery of where the Walden family disappeared to. They disappeared around 10 years ago. The father, mother, and 3 children, and all of their household staff, guards, cooks, everything, as well as most of their possessions and gold. You think you might have worked out what happened to them, perhaps. You discovered that most of the townsfolk think the castle is haunted and cursed, and that the Walden family passed judgment very harshly on people who they often sent down into their dungeons. You also discovered that only one person ever was forgiven for judgment from the Waldens, and that was a very rich person. And you also discovered that people in town have mixed feelings about you guys, but are very impressed that you managed to get out of the dungeon. You spoke to some people who were involved in the sexy party. You also made friends with the local barkeep. And you also made some enemies for Theratas in the market.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
When you walk past the owner of a market stall who claims that last time he saw you, you knocked over half of his shit.
Is that literal shit? Oh.
Alright, so currently you found yourselves in the guards' barracks. You were surrounded by loads of guards who suddenly started clapping you on the back and shouting, "Let's get them some fucking ale!" So,
And that's what we join in. Cool.
What would you like to do? I believe Varric was riding on the shoulders, doing like a crowd surf, as far as I remember.
I would like to get out my bottle of wine that I filled up in the Walden Castle and uncork it and shout, "Who's got a glass?"
Several of the soldiers bring out like tankards and flasks and flagons, and some even tip out their water from their wineskin pouches and sort of pass it around and come up to you and go, "Hey, little one, what you got?"
Watch it, mate. Generally divvy out the wine amongst all of our newfound friends.
Woohoo! It's quite a big bottle. That was quite a big bottle you got as well, wasn't it? So it goes round a good half of the people. The rest of them are okay with their mead and their ale, and they break out their supplies and things, and everyone's having a jolly good time. There's some foaming tankards and mugs and everything. It was great.
Is there food?
We've only been playing for about 2 minutes, and Varric's already hungry.
I'm surprised it took him this long.
Yes, there is some food.
In that case, I take a bite.
Okay. They have quite a lot of pies that they eat on their breaks and things. So you get handed a sort of beef and ale and vegetable pie. It's almost as big as your face.
I'll happily take a bite, just like from the side of it.
Is it in someone's hand or is it on a
Soldiers that are
table?
celebrating around us?
They're on a little table inside where they would have their breaks and things, but they bring some of them outside. In fact, three of them carry the table out and they shove some chairs around it where they've all been sitting, and they put their tankards down and they bring out bottles and some food, and they like let you all join in. And they throw like a makeshift rug on the ground. Some of them take their cloaks off and they shove them on the ground, and loads of them are like sitting around having a picnic and a party now.
Cool.
I'll join in somewhere and take some food. And just like take a tankard of meat and one of those, one bit of pie, and just enjoy myself.
Cool. I'm going to talk to the few nearest to me and say to them, so I hear that not many people get out of the Walden dungeons.
Not many, the guy says. You mean not any ever? You're the first lot who've ever made it out. Bloody hell!
So I feel that gives us bragging rights in this town then.
Bragging rights forever, you mean? Bragging rights all over Boston you've got. Bloody hell.
I'm going to raise my wine skin to him and take a nice big swig. And then I'm going to ask him about... I'm just shuffling through my notes.
He clanks your tankard. He notices that he's probably doing it a bit too, a bit too forcefully for your little frame. So he stops halfway through and sort of goes, oh, yes!
So I'm going to casually mention... yes, I've heard that not many people ever escape the Walden dungeon, but I have heard about Sharpenprot, who avoided even being put into the dungeon for his wrongdoings. Is this anything that this guy knows about?
The guard's face actively drops a little bit, and you see him sort of scowl. And you notice that a few of the guards who are nearby also scowl when they overhear what you're chatting about. And he says, oh yeah, that bastard.
Is this guy still in, where are we? We're in Stock, aren't we?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask him if this Sharpen bloke is still in Stock.
He says, oh no, he went back to his regular job in frickin' Capital Ailey.
Oh.
In the meantime, I'm going to grab myself a tankard and pull out my guitar.
Ah.
I shall be similar with my lute. I'm gonna take the wine off one of the guys that are drinking wine and just scowl at everyone and drink wine.
Is in character or out of character?
Yes.
And that's how you answer.
Cool. So guys, what were we going to ask? Because we planned that we were going to talk to these guards. What were we going to ask them about? Just what had gone on?
Why we ended up in the dungeon or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And mostly why no one else ended up.
Okay, that's good. So I'm going to kick back with my newfound buddies and ask them if any of them were involved in our arrest.
Are you just asking all the guards in general?
Yeah, just anybody that's nearby and can hear me. I want to kind of ascertain if anybody was there at our sexy party and arrested us.
All right, to the quiet and subtle sounds of the therapist playing his guitar in the background, you speak to the guards about why you ended up in the dungeon in the first place. And I feel like I'm on the X Factor doing a really sad song bit, like, me mother's dead and my cat's all sick, please vote for me. So, sorry. Focusing. So, they say to you, well, it's a bit awkward actually. We got a tip off that there was a party going on, and we got well, part of the tip off was that the leaders wouldn't really like it, and so we had to go break it up. And I mean, in all fairness to you, you were having a great time. You're doing bloody well. They look at the tiefling and say, I mean, bravo, mate. You were on fire, and I mean literally as well. Like, you know.
Amazing.
And they sort of look around. They go, I mean, like, it looked bloody fantastic. I mean, we can't really get involved in that sort of thing because, you know, it not worth the job. But it was well, I mean, we had to help you. He points at Varric. We had to help you put all your kit back on so that we could arrest you. And I mean. And he looks over at the other guy who was speaking to you earlier, Apricity, and he says, I mean, poor Seamus, he's been getting cream out of his hair all bloody night.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, nothing personal, like, I mean, you all seem pretty fantastic dudes and dudettes, but, like, I mean, yeah, we got told, and the leaders don't like that sort of thing. I mean, no hard feelings, right?
Yeah, no hard feelings. Everybody's doing the job. That's fine by me. We've managed to escape. It was a very good night. When you say the leaders, who is it that you got your orders from?
Well, we got a tip-off that there was this party going on that the leaders wouldn't like, and so we had to go investigate. And we sent someone off to tell the leaders, and they said that we had to detain all of you and chuck you in the dungeon. So, again, no hard feelings, but, like, yeah, so, yeah, that's how it all went down.
Why? Thank you, Reedy. I was going to ask that exact question. Why was it just us few that were chosen? There were so many other people there that night.
Well, yeah. You see, there's a sort of agreement going on, which is that, how'd you put it delicately? Like, well, put it this way. You guys are fairly new in town, and no one really knows you, and in the nicest possible way, you looked kind of poor. So, yeah, you didn't really have a leg to stand on there, whereas the higher-ups in the town, they can sort of, well, they could bloody get away with murder, one of them says. He interrupts him, he says, they bloody well could, and they bloody well know it. It's frickin' ridiculous. Well, I mean, I don't think they literally could quite get away with murder. I don't think it's quite that bad, but, yeah, pretty much, if you've got money around here, then the leaders tend to take a liking to you, and, yeah. So we tend to, whenever we have to get involved in something like that, they basically tell us to ignore and walk past them lot and just get to you guys.
Okay, so if we'd have been in finer outfits, we might not have been, well, some of us weren't in outfits. But,
well, yeah.
We might have out.
I mean, it's pretty hard to tell the difference between a rich and a poor man when they've all got their kit off, but we had to go with who we recognised and who we didn't, and yeah, you were all fairly new to town, so there it was.
Fair play, fair play. Do these parties go on often in Stock? I've heard that the Order of Companions is quite prevalent nearby.
Well, officially speaking, we don't know anything, and we act only on tip-offs that we receive.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to make a educated guess, and he gives you a very big, wink at this point, like a proper, you know, like full-on one-eyed wink.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, if I had to make an educated guess, I would say they're about once a fortnight. And, yeah, once a fortnight, but they're always organised by the companions, of course. They're never organised by any of the people in town. I mean, the thing is, the higher-ups can get away with being there, but if it was very obvious that they'd organised the thing, it'd be a bit trickier to get around, you see. So, but as I said, we officially know nothing. But we do occasionally get invites. I'll put it that way. But of course we can't accept. It's not worth our job. Not worth our job to end up at a place like that.
Well, if you ever need any juicy stories, you can ask us guys.
Oh, believe me, we will. And at this point, it's getting close to, I'd say 5 o'clock-ish after you've done everything. And he says, well, I mean, if you got time before sundown, please tell us some stories. Tell us what went on down there. How did you get out down there?
I sidle up and go, I heard someone was asking for stories.
Stories in song.
Bard.
Just, hello.
Bard, do you drink? I'm going to give you a little tot of wine.
Thank you.
Tell your stories away. You were there as an entertainment, weren't you?
I was. It was
Oh.
a very confusing moment.
She was one of the most sober people there. It was very odd. They're not usually so sober when we arrest them at those sort of jobs.
What's the temperature like?
Right now it's getting closer to evening, so it's mild.
Okay.
You're all right. Although you personally are getting a little bit hot under the collar, just remembering all of this.
Oh, good grief.
Okay, so I received an anonymous invitation at the tavern that I was staying at. I'm not even sure how they knew I was there. So they just hired me for music. So I went thinking it was just a regular job, and about halfway through I realised everyone was naked. And I didn't know what else to do. So I just kept playing.
So why did they arrest you, Bard? I feel bad that you were thrown in the dungeon with us, miscreants.
Yeah, we felt quite bad about that ourselves, I'll be honest, but you were there and you were an outsider. Just being there was, yeah.
Well, I'm sure you were just doing your jobs.
Thanks very much. I appreciate that, thanks.
You're welcome.
You're very sweet.
Oh, thank you.
So guys, where did you get your tip-off from? Was it someone came and reported the party, or just rumours?
Yeah, well, I mean, unofficially, of course, we'd had an invite, but, we have an agreement with the companions, which is, we'll probably never accept the invitation. But if they ever send us one, we won't raid them just based on that, because it's not fair. It's not fair, It might not happen. An invite doesn't necessarily mean the party actually happens. It's not fair. It's not right. However, we had someone come to us and complain about the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a description of what they looked like?
Hooded. Couldn't really see the face. Big hood covering their mouth.
Male or female?
It was definitely female.
Could you tell, well, I assume they were human, as most are around these parts, or could you tell any other?
Say again, sorry.
Reading the web, you're asking? Yeah. We got yelled away, yeah.
Yes, you went to the house last episode, but you got yelled away from it. Out of the window, I think.
sorry.
Although they were very complimentary about your tiefling.
That's true. They, in company by the sounds of it.
Probably scared.
I asked the soldiers, so they said that the parties happen once a fortnight. Do they get held in lots and lots of different locations, or are they often held within the same few areas? I assume they're all in the rich areas of town.
Yeah, they're usually in fairly wealthy areas, but they're not always in the same place. No, I think they move them about. There's been a few in that house we caught you guys in, but it's always a different one every other week. Whenever it is. If there was one every week, it would be a different one. I think in the last year, we've caught 3 or 4, or heard of 3. We've heard of 3 or 4, and we've caught another 3 in the house you were at.
From my memory, because I have an excellent memory of the night, despite drinking lots of mead, the Order of Companions, they're mostly half-elves, correct?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
I didn't think that people took to non-human folk much around here.
No, that'd be right. They, I've never quite understood it, but they've always been the very big exception. Although, to be fair, just to look at them, you can probably understand why.
Well, it was because of one of these half-elves that I ended up there, so yes, I understand what you mean. Okay. Party, is there anything else we want to find out?
We've covered most bases. The only thing I'm currently interested in as well is, are there any bounties or anything that have been offered up that the guard don't have their time to deal with right now?
Ooh, interesting question.
Well,
I am a bounty hunter by trade.
Also, with the big forest next to the city, to the village, is there any nice game to hunt?
well, in answer to the second question, yes, there is some pretty good game in those woods if you're quick enough to catch it. A lot of them deer can run mighty fast. There's also some pretty good vegetables growing around there, I think, like the wild ones. There's a load of mushrooms and things. I've never been brave enough to pick them myself, says one of them, because I can never tell which ones are poison and which ones aren't. Oh, and there's a load of that, what's it called? Oh, that poison ivy stuff, so watch your step.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
You guys are so nice telling us that.
Well, you seem nice too, little lady.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's quite alright, little lady.
Oh, you
In the meantime,
guys.
DM, I'm going to do something about that poison ivy that I got.
Just casually waiting for you to, it's fine.
So good. Just do a lay on hands and remove it.
Alright.
Are you touching yourself in public?
Ew!
I'm a paladin. I'm always touching people in public. Myself and everyone else.
That's how we ended up at the party!
Yeah, it was all your fault.
Okay.
He was touching himself in the tavern and got information.
It all just got a bit crazy. Yes.
Rosie, so I had some healing mushrooms for my, poison ivy. Did that clear it up completely, or am I still suffering?
Yes, no, yours is fine.
Oh, that's okay.
What about
Mine's cured as well, right?
Yes, you were cured. It was just the tiefling who still had flamey, rashy rash.
Yeah. I tried to give him some mushrooms, but I don't think it worked very well.
I assume this
That's
is from last episode.
Yeah. You were
Yeah.
fine. Skipped through everything and didn't even notice.
Yeah, you literally just skipped, like, la 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 la.
Yep, sounds
Walking
right.
after that.
I followed the wood elf and trusted he knew where he was going.
Yeah, he didn't.
It was a very unlucky roll.
Could I go back to talking to my nearest guard buddies? And as we're enjoying our lovely picnic, could I casually ask about a strange symbol that I've seen all over town?
Yes, you can do.
So I've heard of this group that people refer to as No Wings.
Oh, yes.
And I've heard rumours that they might frequent the Greenwood. Do you guys know anything more about them? I assume you must have come across them, you know, guarding this city as you do.
Well, yeah, we've heard of them lot. Never seen them. Couldn't tell you what they do. Couldn't tell you where they sprung from. Just all of a sudden, symbols were about and things were happening. Not that we always knew it was them or whatever. But people are mighty scared at the moment, though. There's
Why is that?
not entirely sure. We don't really get out into town very much. There's a feeling. There's just a general feeling. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it's to do with them or not. I couldn't tell you. But the rumour is they hang out in the Greenwoods, yeah. And actually, come to think of it, did you just ask about, or you, Horny, did you ask about wanted people and bounties?
People or monsters?
Well, thinking about it, and he gestures inside the main hallway of the guards' barracks, and there's a picture, and it's a drawn no-wing symbol that's been pinned up. It's almost like a police detective board, things of interest. And as he gestures to it, what he's talking about is right next to it, and he says, "Them two, they're wanted at the moment." And there's 2 posters next to the no-wings symbol, which is what reminded him. And one of them is a drawn picture of a male half-elf. He looks fairly handsome, and he's probably about 27 years old. And underneath it says, "Wanted from the capital Laley, name Mal."
Is that 27 elf years? Because that's not...
That's very young.
No, as in he looks 27, so in elf years he'd be around anywhere between 100 to 300.
Awesome.
Cool.
Slightly older than me.
And
He's wanted from Laley, or...
From Laley, yeah. And there's another one, which is another man. He's a tiefling. He looks quite angry in the picture that's been drawn of him. And it says, "Wanted, male." The name, I'll spell it for you, is Cobb.
These names sound very familiar.
Wanted for murder. Originally from Travis.
Did you say they sound familiar?
Yeah, out of character.
Yeah.
I've been watching Firefly.
Oh, yeah!
No comment.
She caught you out.
Hey,
I need to pick up a brown coat.
I left a very massive red dwarf hint on the Sunday session, which no one got.
Yes, I got, but I didn't. Plus the accent.
I was trying so hard.
So I got it, but I was kind of preoccupied that day.
That's alright.
So I did get it.
Mal is wanted for smuggling, and Cobb is wanted for murder.
I'm going to wander on over and look at them and go, "Do you mind if I take these with me?"
Yeah, sure, we've got a drawer full. I don't know why they'd be around here, though. I mean, they've got the whole of Borson. They could be miles away by now. He does also say, but of course they've both been seen around in the capital and stuff, so we've got to be on the lookout. Good reward, though. And underneath it says, and I'll type this. Each of them is a 1,000 gold reward.
You've written 100.
Ah, shit. 1,000 gold alive, 500 dead.
Okay.
Is there anything more you could tell us about where they were last seen?
Through the grapevine, we heard Mal fled the capital. He's been seen dotted all over the place. Well, there's been reports he's been seen all over the place. Could be bullshit, of course. People just staring up at fuss. Or he's got some of his mates to, lie for him and cover his trail. But we've had reports as far apart as Anchor and Bait. He's been apparently seen in Westsea. He's been seen in Crownside. People have said he's been seen in Pastime. Could be anywhere, I'll be honest with you. Could be nowhere. Could be bollocks. Could be dead. Wish I'd got the money if he bloody was. And, one from Travis. And he gestures at the picture of Cobb looking mighty, grumbly and terrifying. He says, "That one hasn't been seen since he crossed the border at Fort William." As in, he crossed the border coming into Borsin.
So he's lost in Borsin somewhere.
Indeed.
I'm pulling up a map to work out how far that is. Fort William was that far away.
Fort William is not that far away from you guys, and I'll send you a picture now. It is right
Directly north of us.
It's directly
Yeah.
north of it. It's how you get into Borsin from Travis, which is where he's from.
Which is also where I'm from, so he's probably come the way I came.
Oh.
You've traveled with him for the last 500 miles.
Oh. The main problem would be is if I asked anyone in that area if they'd seen a tiefling come from Fort William, they'd point at me.
Yeah.
And so far, seeing as you've been rolling sevens, we can assume you weren't very subtle when you arrived.
He basically talked with every person he met on his route.
Look at me, I'm a tiefling. I'm from Travis, you know. Look at me, tiefling. I'm here. Hello.
Juggling balls of fire, like attracting attention left, right, and center.
So basically, if you see us off, then get us out.
Wait, does someone have illusion magic? We'll just make the tiefling look like the wanted tiefling, and then bust him out again.
I have a disguise spell actually.
Cool. Yeah, but you like Verti. You're never going to turn that on.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait. My spell is a disguise self spell, so I could disguise myself as one of the two people they're looking for, and then get a bounty, and then
And then we'll make you
Not
out and
get
split the
caught.
bounty.
And then get arrested. It's a great plan.
Well, I didn't say I thought it through. It's just part of the plan.
But we can break you out and then split the bounty.
No, because you just leave me there and take the money. I know you would.
See, it's hard to plan when you're
Especially
paranoid.
I didn't. Whoever spoke last, can you say that again? It broke up.
Me?
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard noise and it didn't really work out.
I said I know you would let me. You would just leave me there, especially you know.
Ah, yeah.
She
We'll
disagrees.
entice you in with some yellow object.
No, wait, yellow objects. Yeah, that's fine.
You like yellow, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Okay,
just
we'll buy
getting
him
purple.
purple.
I was enticing you in with yellow.
Oh, I see. No.
Oh, we'll just throw purple stuff in the jail cell and you break out yourself.
True.
Yeah, that could work.
So hey guys, so it's now kind of getting evening. We've got rooms booked with Peter in, is it Respite?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
respite.
Respite. Do we want to get anything else done this evening before we go to bed?
Pete.
Yeah,
Well, in fact, there's pies here. Eat the
Says
pie.
Varric through a mouthful of pie.
I was just thinking of Barrick. He needs more food.
Feed the hangry half elf. Elf, sorry. Feed the hangry
Also,
elf.
this is the kind of time when hounds tend to go to the pub. A nifty place to go and pick up information.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm thinking. Like, we've talked to the guards. They seem like they've given us the things they can help us with. Maybe we should go and find some other people to chat to.
Yeah. Well, they've given me work to do at some point.
That's true. I like that. You have to return them alive, though. Are you happy with that, or are you?
I'm a paladin.
And that
I'm
is
quite
your
happy
answer.
to bash them over the skull and knock them out.
That's true. Warhammer all the way. Okay. Cool. Is there anything else we could learn about the leaders? We know they're corrupt as hell. I don't think there's anything else we can ask about them, is there?
That I can think of off the top of my head.
One of the guards hears you and he says, "Look, much as I'd love to engage in a round of chatting about them fuckers, it's another not really worth my job to be caught chatting about them. But if you did want to go and have a chat, you know they live in the high end of town, the good end of town, as it were, the posh end of town. Let's be honest, the posh end of town. Well, if you find the big house with the blue front door, that's where they are.
Ah, see, I've got high roofs and fancy gardens, and you just said blue front door.
Well, that sounds like you've painted yourself a pretty picture there.
Oh, I'm sure you can tell us a bit more than that.
Oh, she's good.
Oh, the pretty picture painted is almost as pretty as your face.
Wait, he said that too.
If I say pretty, please, would you let us know more?
Well, because it's you that's asking. What? That was the best noise I've ever heard in my life. Alright. He gives you directions, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the map up again, but I'm going to circle where the house is on the map.
Awesome.
Alright, so...
Well done.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
That's alright, darling.
So much stuff.
And... Alright. Oh, also on this map is included a couple of things that I forgot to write on the last one.
Oh, okay, I'll unpin the last one.
Whilst you're doing that, I'm going to scoff some more pie, because I'm pretty...
Alright. Are you talking to the birds?
Speak to a small beast with a cat. I can hear it.
Yes. Aaron was going to bed, and I wanted to distract the cat so that it didn't run into the bedroom as well, because they're not allowed there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that we're calling Eric.
No, I'm not that mean. I'll just ring the bell if I need.
Alright, I'm sending you the map. He's giving you directions. He tells you to go oh, hang on. It's not loading. Yes, it is. Marvellous. There we go. Alright. He gives you directions, and he says you have to go up past the market. You have to go past Respite into the fancy side of town, past the school, and you'll find the house with the blue door.
Cool. I've gone off the thing. Hang on.
While Varric is glaring at the guard who is flirting with Orissa, he winks at him because he thinks that he is glaring in one of those dude kind of ways.
I thought he was hitting on Varric suddenly.
That's a plot twist.
Yeah, these poor guards, they haven't even been allowed to go to the sexy parties. They're very pent up. You know, he'll flirt with anyone. I'm flirting with grass.
We don't pass any judgments. Everybody's free to do what they want.
I'll turn my attention back to the apple I was eating.
Seductively eating or just eating?
like angrily chomping down on it.
Alright, so yeah, they give you directions, and yeah, it's on your map. So it's the circled one in yellow right at the top with the blue door.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
So they basically say, yeah, go past the market, back the way you came, past the Tavern Respite, which he knows you know because you mentioned it, and if you hit the temple, you've gone the wrong way, go to the right, go around the school, and you find it.
Oh.
Ooh,
Should we be taking Derek anywhere near school?
Thank you so much.
That's perfectly alright, darling, and anytime you feel like a party, you can come and hang out with us.
Phil.
Oh, we wish, darling, we wish.
I'm sure that when we were at the party, I saw the back door was open. I could see a few eyes peeping through.
Well, we had to, check what was going on properly before we just ran in and arrested folk.
Yeah.
I remember one of the rich ladies who was there. What was her name again? She was right in the middle. Short curly hair. What was her friggin' name? Oh, man. I can't remember her name. But she was wearing these really fancy robes and she was right in the middle. And she got very excited when we came in because she thought we were strippergrams. Sinclair! That was her name. Sinclair.
Did you just say Fratelli Sinclair as well?
Yep.
Cool. Love it. Party. Do we want to go and pay a visit to the leaders of this town? Or...
I kind of want to see the house. Let's scout out that area for.
Yeah?
It's going to start getting dark soon.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to go back to the pub.
I reckon we'll go back to the pub, and if you're really interested to see what's going on, there's some stealthy people amongst us that could,
Oh, I don't need a full night of sleep.
I can go see if you want, but I'd quite like to go back and visit my mate Peter.
I think it's a good idea for us to go to the pub. I'm saying that relatively loudly.
I agree.
I'll just silently nod, even if only to get away from the guards again.
Cool. Awesome. I would like to thank our gracious host for letting us eat their pies and for sharing the information.
Oh, not a problem, darling. You're more than welcome. As I said, can't really risk our jobs saying or doing too much, but anytime the triumphers of the Walden's Dungeon, you're more than welcome here.
Oh, thank you so much. And don't worry, if anyone asks, we won't say it was you.
Oh, you're too kind, little darling. You're too kind.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
One last thing before we go. Presuming I do find one of these fellas, and I hold up the 2 sheets of paper I've got, where would be best to return them to?
Well, you can return them here, of course, but then you'd have to split the bounty. Happy as I would be to do it, and normally I would say that's what you have to do, but theoretically you'd take them to Crownside or the capital, Lely, and then you could take the money just for yourself. You seem like a nice bloke. If you fancy splitting it, I'm more than happy to take half off you, but I'll be honest, if I haven't done any work, I don't really see that that's a very good thing for me to be doing. But yeah, Crownside or the capital.
I'll seriously consider it with the information you've just provided.
Oh.
Thank you, Mum.
He looks... The other one who is flirting with Arista now looks at you and goes, "You're too kind."
I bow and I pick up my guitar and get ready to go.
Awesome.
I
Alright.
follow closely behind.
So, are you heading to the tavern then?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Awesome. Alrighty. As you head back to the tavern Respite, you notice that it's getting a lot darker. And... Ooh. I'm going to delete this from the audio because it's all just stuff that's going on in chat, but yes.
Sorry, can't help myself. Got to be a smart ass once in a while.
Once in a while, he says. Alright. As you head back to the tavern Respite, you make your way back a similar way to the way you came, through the now closing market. Everyone's closing up their stalls for the night and heading on home. You
Can I wave to the guy at the fruit stand?
sure? He gives you a
Make friends along the way.
he gives you a confused sort of wave back, shakes his head and carries on packing up. You head on up. You walk past the house where you were shouted at out of the window. The curtains are all tightly drawn and there's a fire going in the fireplace inside, you can see. Everyone in there's got their backs to you as you walk past the window.
I will do something as we walk past.
Oh, yeah?
Thaumaturgy, I'm just going to rattle the window.
Do you want to roll for stealth, or are you just going to do it as you go past and you don't care?
I'm just going to go past and not care.
Okay. Everyone,
Of this attitude. This is
everyone in there jumps and looks around at you, but you're gone by the time they notice. Redo is giggling in a childlike manner.
Do we want to talk to the people in that house anymore? We're kind of done with it.
I'm done with them. I might check on them later.
Let's get back to the tavern then. Let's get some foods and some beers.
Awesome. All right. As you head into the tavern, you notice that Peter is not behind the bar anymore. He is out on the floor in front of the bar, and he's having a conversation with Joel, the boy who's helping him look after it. He claps him on the shoulder and says, "See you in the morning." And then he turns and walks past you, gives you all a nod and a smile, and he walks out of the door of the tavern, pulling his hood over his head and his scarf up over his face to protect him against the cold, and he shuts the door carefully behind him. So it's now just Joel behind the bar.
Oh, I miss Peter already.
Aww.
Didn't the guards talk about an anonymous tip from someone with a big hood and a scarf?
Yeah, but they said it was definitely female.
True.
Well, I identify as female. Like, oh my god, guys.
Peter is actually Petra.
Can we have a look around the bar? Is there anybody else there?
There's a few townsfolk, yeah. None of them look particularly wealthy. Most of them seem sort of, not poor, but sort of average. They don't look very well off.
How have they reacted to the bunch of us just strolling back into the pub?
A few of them recognise you because you saw them bustling around the market, and sort of they seem to have realised that you've got out of the dungeons and things. One of them actually leaps up and says, "I'm buying you around," and runs to the bar. A few of them spot the tiefling and look a little bit nervous, but other than that...
Is there any bards or anyone playing in here at the moment, or is basically the stage clear?
It's funny you mention that.
Did someone say bad?
I was just about to say, didn't Arissa use that to get a free food?
Yeah, I get free food and a room.
Yeah. There is currently a dude, one of the townsfolk, playing like on a little sort of harpsichord thing. You can join him if you want or take over or whatever. He's just sort of, he's not performing, it's more he's just giving it a go because it's something it looks like he's practicing rather than performing.
I will offer to do a duet with him.
Cool. Alright. He gestures for you to come and sit beside him. And continues to play.
Okay, I take out my flute this time.
Awesome. I'm going to pretend there's a flute sound in the background. And yeah.
I'll sit close to the stage listening to the performance.
Awesome. Alright, the guy who jumped up, he brings you each over a flagon of mead and sort of cups you all and shakes a load of your hands. And the one for you, Arissa, he puts down on the table nearby and he sort of gives you a look and points at it like and thumbs up like, yeah, you're great, it's great.
Thanks.
And he shakes hands with the rest of you and to all of you, are you all sitting together?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a table together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Alright. Ridu sits right on the edge of the table with a back to you all, looking grumpy. And he hands you all the flagon of ale, and he sort of he offers his hand to all of you, and those of you that shake it, he shakes it really heartily, and he's like, oh, fantastic, guys, fantastic. No one's ever done it before. It's bloody brilliant. Well done. And he goes and sits back down by the fire at his table, and he's having a game of cards with another couple of his friends, and he points back over at you all, and they all sort of chat, and they look over, and they all sort of shoot you a grin like, yeah, and then they go back to their game.
Nice. I'm going to raise my glass to them in recognition of how awesome we are.
They raise theirs back at you and smile.
I'm gonna turn my back to them.
I'll join in the toast.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll raise my mug and then drain it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll follow that example as well.
Drunk
Yeah.
tiefling.
Ooh. Nice.
Verth, make your eyes purple.
No. So, what are we feeling we want to do? Are we gonna want to go and visit the leader people tomorrow? Master
I
and Lady on that one.
I want to take a look at their house tonight, see if I can see anything of use to us.
Okay. Also, do you reckon, Viceritas, is it worth asking around about your quarry this evening?
We could always ask around and see if there's been any rumours.
Because there's definitely, with Cobb, has been seen around, it hasn't been seen since coming into Fort William, so...
There's a chance he came this way. He could have gone possibly a different direction, though, but it's always worth asking.
Mm-hmm.
So I might wander up to the barkeep.
We've not talked to him yet. DM, how old is Joel? I've just got teenage. Is that right?
Yeah, he's teenage. He looks like he's somewhere around 15, 16, which in this sort of world would mean he's of age and considered a young adult.
Cool. Okay.
In that case, let's talk to the lad. So I'm gonna wave the... I think it was Joel over, right?
Joel, yes.
Yes, Joel.
I've typed it for you as well. It's fairly simple, but yeah, Joel.
Oh, okay. I think I put too many syllables in his name then.
But yeah, so are you waving him over from the bar, or are you going up to him?
I'll wave him over.
Yeah?
I think there's a couple of empty drinks on the table at the same time. Save
Yeah.
2 trips.
Yeah, that's all right. There's a couple of people sitting at the bar, but they've got full glasses, so he recognises you from before, and he was a bit wary when you came in, but he knows that you were quite friendly with Peter, so he comes over and he puts a smile on his face, and he's acting more jovial than you can tell he really is, but he is making an effort. He's making an effort to not be nervous of you, especially you, Tiefling. And he sort of says, Hi guys, so what can I do for you? I'll take those for you. And he takes the 2 empty mugs off the table. Get those out your way. What can I get for you?
Thanks a lot for that, Bernard. Could we get another 2? And in the meantime, I've also got a question. I'm looking for
sure.
a tiefling that's come down from Fort William. Have you heard anything about any other tieflings other than myself?
And he sort of looks from you to the mugs in his hand, and then back to you, in the sort of way a lot of people would have done if you say, so have you seen a tiefling? And they sort of give you that look of, well, you. And he says, so he'd look like you then, would he?
Yeah, he would look fairly similar to me. In fact, I've got a picture handy here. I'm just going to show him the picture.
Alright. He looks at the picture and his eyes sort of go wide, but it sort of looks... It's that flash of fear again that you saw when he first saw you. And he takes a tiny step back from the table and he says, oh, wow. No, I don't think I've seen that guy. Ooh. I don't think I want to either. Sorry, no offense, sorry, no.
No, that's perfectly okay, my young lad. So you haven't heard any stories from any of the other patrons about tieflings wandering around up north?
Well, I mean, yeah. And he steps closer to the table again, finding his nerve a bit. I mean, yeah, there's loads of stories about you folk. Again, no offense, men. But yeah, there's loads of stories saying you eat children, you destroy crops, you pillage and plunder and steal and rob and take wenches away to have your way with them, and something about heaving bosoms that I never quite understood until now. I wouldn't want to say that that's what you do, of course, but yeah, those are the rumours, and I think people do talk about wanted for all sorts of horrible things, and yeah, rumour is if it's the one you're talking about, then yeah, I've heard rumours. People saw him coming down into Borsin, and could be anywhere. And he suddenly sort of looks around the bar as if to just double check that there's no one in the bar. And yeah.
Unfortunately, there's even some amongst my race that are bad and twisted. I'll see if I can do something about this one. But thanks you for your time.
Oh, that's all right. So just the 2 drinks? Are you wanting anything else at all?
I'm gonna look around at anyone else. Does anyone else want to top up?
I just smile at you.
I'll take that as a yes and get you a drink.
A voice in Varric's head says, "Food.
I'm gonna spend another gold piece on just a full plate of food.
What a surprise. Alright. He says, very good. And he bustles off to the bar and he brings you back over your drinks and plonks them down for you and nods. And then a little while later, it comes out of the back with a big plate of food and seems to have had a discussion with Peter about it from before. And it's a bigger plate of food than the average person would receive. Seems to have remembered that you like your food. There's extra vegetables. There's a super large pie with extra thick crust and very thick gravy, and some potatoes as well.
I thank him.
Not at all. We do have an extra load of gravy. We've got a bit too much if you fancy some extra. Redo wants some of your food, Varric.
No, Sabina wants some of your food. Redo is quite happy.
Yeah.
Is someone hungry by any chance?
No.
I am now wondering, did anyone in-game ask about my food? Because...
He doesn't share. Varric doesn't share food!
I have something that if anyone in-game asks.
Alright, so you've had it brought to you. You've had it brought to you, your big massive plate of food, your drinks are back over. He nips back behind the bar and serves some other punters who are sitting up there. And yeah, yes that. There's a nice roaring fire, there's some music. Yeah.
Wait a second, Varric just picked up a bit of my food. I growl.
See, this is why you should say everything, guys. Otherwise, I'm going to miss things. The Theritas picks up a piece of Varric's food absently and starts flicking it around. Arissa's at it as well. Poor guys.
Yeah, but, like, I punch at Theritas, but not to actually hurt him. But when Arissa picks up food, I just smile.
Oh, cute.
Aw, Arissa's making all the friends today.
I'm not even gonna try.
I'll hand Varric his food back. It's somewhat
Thanks.
broken.
I don't know how I broke mashed potato, but I did.
It's by eating it and rolling a 1.
Ew.
I don't want to know what happens when you crit fail eating.
You just choke on it and
You choke and you die.
It's probably trying to take a bite and accidentally bashing your face into repeat.
Probably put yourself on mashed potato.
Alrighty.
But yeah, I take the food from Vertaratus and just continue eating.
Alright.
Is it worth asking some of these guys in the bar about some bits that we want to find out about? Yes?
Quite possibly.
That could be a good idea.
Well, the guy that bought us a drink, like the things that we can talk about, we've got Order of Companions, we've got No Wing, we've got
The
the...
kids in the forest, were they knowing?
Hey?
The kids in the forest.
Yeah, the No Wings, we can find out more about them.
Because I'm intrigued.
Cool.
We've also got wanted criminals wandering around.
Yeah, we've also got the, if we want to go and talk to these corrupt leaders, it might be worth finding out some bits about them.
I'm just gonna say that's the most evil and awesome thing I've seen in a while.
Wait a second.
Get out.
So, Ridu makes food appear on my plate.
Well, it's not me doing it. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is just to get it on the record. Like, Varric doesn't know that it's you.
Barrack just looks down and there's more food on his plate. He gets
My-
excited, tries to eat.
My eyes grow big, and I just go, yes!
Cool. I'm going to get up from the table and go over to the guys playing cards. With the dude that bought us the drinks in the first place. I'm
Yep.
going to take over my mostly empty tankard and again toast him, say thank you very much, and ask if it's okay for me to interrupt his game of cards to have a bit of a chat.
There's 3 of them, and the one who bought you all the drinks looks up.
Sorry, mean interrupting.
Sorry. That's
Consider
alright.
that pinned.
For the sake of when I'm editing the audio, I just put up the Varric doesn't share food meme, which took me all of like 5 seconds, but it was great. Alright,
Great.
so the guy who bought you the round puts down the last of his cards and says, "Oh, don't worry. These guys were taking all my money anyway. I'm happy to pause for a second. Have a seat, have a seat." And he gestures to, he pulls up a seat next to him. There's about 5 seats at the table. They're only taking up 3. They're taking the 3 that are closest to the fire.
Cool. I'm gonna take a seat and mention that they probably heard about our pretty busy last couple of days. We're kind of new to town as a party. We'd like to ask a few questions about a few things, if that's okay.
Sure, if I know the answers, of course.
We're considering visiting the leaders of stock tomorrow, Mastal and Lief.
Ooh, risky
you
business that. Risky business that.
Do they appreciate visitors unannounced, or is there a particular way that we go about visiting?
He leans in on his elbows and looks around the bar quickly over the heads of everyone and leans in quite close to you and he says, "Well, to be honest, they don't really appreciate very much, so... I mean, the proper official way to get an audience with them is to go and request one, but to be honest, if you're going to go and request one, then you may as well turn up and ask to see them. I mean, bloody hell, you got out of the dungeon, I think they should see you. Not that they will. Well, I don't know. Maybe they will. It's unusual. Hasn't happened before. But, be on your best behaviour, they get grumpy easily." And he leans backwards and sort of looks around as if he shouldn't really have said that, but takes another sip of his drink.
We'll keep those comments secret, that's fine. We might choose to send in our very lovely bard friend here, as she is probably more likely seen in these parts. Barracks put, oh shit, I don't really have best behaviour. So we might need to make an appointment. That's good to know. Did we ask? I've seen. So I've been in town a short while. I've seen these weird symbol daubed on walls and buildings. And often I hear people mentioning no wing.
No wings? Oh yeah. Well, don't know a great deal about them. Couldn't tell you a lot. Just you hear things. You pick things up. There's a lot of rumours going around here. A lot of rumours.
Such as?
Well, I swear sometimes people haven't got much else to do with their lives. But then it is quite fun to listen to. I mean, we all enjoy a good story. Don't we? Don't we, guys? And they all sort of cheers.
I hear the word story and pop up next to them.
Actually, at this point, the guys have shuffled the cards again, and they offer to deal you in if you'd like to play, the two of you.
Yes, please.
Bardic teleport.
Love that.
If any one of us ever needs to summon Aritza, just go, stories!
Just hello.
Do you need to put any gold down to play?
It's 1 gold to have a hand.
Absolutely. My 1 gold is down on the table.
I shall put a gold piece down.
Yeah? Alright, cool. You get dealt some cards, and what I'm going to do for this one is... Let me get these. Okay. So, you get 2 cards each, and you can only place one of them down, and whoever places the highest card down wins, but you will place them down face down on the table, so no one can see until the very end, until everyone turns all of theirs over. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Yeah.
So to do this, I'm going to say each roll a d20 and give me a number, and I'll roll for the other 3.
So roll it once or roll it twice?
Roll it twice and give me the highest number.
Wait, is that everyone?
No, just those 2 who are playing the card game.
11 is my highest.
Cool.
10 is my highest.
Alright.
Wow.
Apricity, you put down a jack, and Arissa, you put down a 10. But one of the other guys puts down a queen. And he takes that hand. You can deal in again, and you don't have to deal for your second hand. You just like buy one, get one free.
Okay.
I'm in still.
Yeah? Alright, roll 2 d20s.
Oh, better. 18.
19.
Oh! A 7, a 14, and a 12. Fuck. The highest time. Alright, Arissa, you put down an ace. And there's a moment of panic where you suddenly go, is ace low or high? Is ace low or high? Shit. But as everyone turns over their cards, they look at you and go, oh, nice one! And you get... actually, at that point, you'll get 5 gold.
Okay. Yay!
And just you can carry on playing in a bit if you like, but just for a pause, you can carry on chatting for now, just
Cool.
as they're shuffling and stuff.
So yeah, this no wings thing that we're hearing about.
Oh yes. Well,
We've heard rumours of Greenwood, but not many people seem to know what it is these no wings are about. Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything?
not the guy who dealt you in, and not the guy who bought you the drinks, but the other guy who's joined in and laughed but been fairly quiet. He has scruffed back hair and brown grubby clothes, and he's got like a bow and arrow slinged over the back of the chair. He actually looks like he's a huntsman, and so he looks like he might know the woods quite well. And he says, there's loads of rumours that they are hanging out in the Greenwoods, but I've never seen him. Never seen no tracks. Never seen no sign of him. Nothing. I mean, last week and the week before, couple of times, saw smoke. Like from a fire or something. So I went off and had a look round. Couldn't find nothing. By the time I got there, couldn't see any more smoke. Couldn't find no fire. Nothing. It was like a ghost. Crazy. But other than that, couldn't tell you. I haven't found him and I know those woods fairly well.
Have you seen anything in the town by any chance? We came across a young lad who had the symbol sewn into his clothes, but he gave us the slip.
Yeah, there's a few kids with that on them just around. They're definitely involved somehow, and they don't talk very much. They operate for money, I think, and bless them, they could do with it. This town's gone to the frickin' dogs. No one's got much money. Well, not unless you were born with it.
Yeah, we've heard many stories of corrupt goings on, like shop in rot.
Oh yeah, you've heard of that bastard, have you?
Yeah, new in town, we've already heard of the slightly twisted ways that things go around here.
Yeah. Glad he's not round here anymore. We all knew what was going on, or at least we had a clue, but can't get anything done against a guy like that just off an idea. Got to have something hard, some hard evidence. We worked so hard. We got all of us together, and we finally managed to find enough evidence, and we caught him in the act. We got him arrested, and they bloody released him, didn't they? Sent him off back on his merry way to the capital to go and sit with the king and be his own self again.
How many years ago was this?
This will be coming up on... Ooh. Let me just double check now, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Thank you.
Quickly, in the meantime,
Yeah?
Ridu and Varric just went up to their rooms
Yeah.
to start our long rest,
Yeah.
which is 4 hours due to Trent.
Alrighty. So you'll wake up. You'll wake up and it'll be about 11 o'clock at night. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. Why has Redo put rest in quotation marks and a wink?
No. That was out of character.
Alright.
Cannot trust these elves.
So Varric and Redo are resting. And
Wait, that's
you...
separate rooms.
Oh, she's sleeping. Cover the room in purple.
Mean.
You will wake up at about 11:15 at night, alright?
Awesome.
Awesome. Alright. The guy says it was coming up on about 11 years ago now. Yeah. Wasn't that long before the Waldens disappeared.
I was going to say the Waldens disappeared about 10 years ago, is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Thank you.
I'm going to lean back in my chair and just ask, what was his crime?
He slept with underage kids.
Got it in one, darling.
I've just got underage people written in my notes.
How come there's not an open bounty on him?
'Cause he works for the king in the royal court in the capital, and he's got a fuck ton of money. He can buy his way out of anything. He bought his way out of the fucking dungeon. Didn't even set foot in the dungeon. He barely walked into the judgment chamber, we heard, and they'd freed him within 5 fucking minutes.
That's simply disgraceful. I can't believe they do that.
Well, that's people with money for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a duzzy in a situation, but money makes money.
Well, to be fair, if I had money, I wouldn't be as badly behaved as them, but yeah, it'd be mighty fun, wouldn't it?
Gentlemen, you may have heard of our escape from the dungeon. Did you know why we were put there, perchance?
Oh yeah, everyone in town's talking about that. You were caught at that sexy party, weren't you? The nudie place.
From my experience, that's how I describe it, yes?
We heard... Now, what was it? The horny guy was covered in cream and the elf was on fire. Was that right?
From my memory, that sounds pretty correct. They were both smiling at the time. They might not be right now. Well, one of them's in bed, so you can say what you want. Do you know anything about this order of companions that frequent the town?
Oh, yes. And all three men get a very dreamy look on their faces now. Oh, yes. Breathtaking. Beautiful. Fuck those women. But, yeah. Don't know why they're here, to be honest. Doesn't feel like it's a good enough place for the likes of them, but yeah. Beautiful. Wander around. They run the parties, they organise them, they help out a lot, we hear. Man, you get invited to one of those, whoa, you've got a little slice of heaven.
Next time I get my invitation, I'll have to extend it to you, love folk.
Oh. Don't tease.
So the Order of Companions, do they just exist within stock, or are they known throughout other places?
Oh yes, they're all over. They're dotted about. Definitely have heard of them in the capital. Definitely. Pretty sure they're in Crownside too. I think they've hit the main three, because of course, the main three in Borsin that help run it and keep it all standing and going, they're the three main ones. The capital, Laley, Crownside, and of course us here in Stock. We were the right-hand side of the crown, shall we say, the left hand and the right hand to the crown. Well, were of course, not so much considered that anymore, now the Waldens are gone.
So the main cities that are run by... is what you're saying?
Say again, your audio cut.
The three cities that are run with the most money.
Pretty much. I mean, have you ever taken a proper look at the Borsin flag?
Hang on. Oh no, I've got notes about the Walden crest. What's the Borsin flag? Tell me more.
Arissa, you're sat next to her still, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you roll me a wisdom with advantage?
A what?
A wisdom with advantage. Or actually, no. Hang on. Not
My
necessarily.
wisdom is -1, please don't.
No, I'm going to make it more specific than that, so it's alright. Do a history.
Okay, I've got history.
Do history with advantage. I'll give you advantage for just being a bard in general.
So is that plus what?
You roll twice and take the highest number.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, not using that one. Got 8 in total.
Alright, that's not too bad.
My first roll was a 2.
Oh, bless you. Alright. Taking a look, I've uploaded it now. And what you know, and anyone who's been in Borsin for a while travelling around, so you too, Apricity, you'll have picked up bits and pieces, but because you weren't born here, it's not so seeped into your general history knowledge. It's not, taught to you from a young age. But essentially, Borsin has the capital, Laley. It also has... Ooh, sorry, my connection went funky then. Carrying on. So, you've got the capital, Laley, you've got Crownside, the second biggest city, and you've also got Stock. Those three are the powerhouses of this country, and those three families work together. You've got the Marxist family, and they are in Crownside. You've got the Taliesin family, that's the royal family, and they're in the capital, Lely. And then you have the Walden family, and they were in Stock. The three worked together to do justice, and you heard before that Crownside did a similar thing where people would get judged, and like the Waldens, they'd be sent into the dungeon, or if it was bad enough, they'd be sent to the capital for further punishment. And they all worked together on the three main principles of Borsin, which is the royal family, gold, and their farming. So their wheat and their crops and things, which is what the Borsin flag represents in my very poor, done on paint, please forgive it illustration.
No, it's beautiful. Yes, see, I've got the Walden crest was Borsin rises, and it's the grain represented.
Yes.
So what? So the crown is the royal family, and then the dots are the gold.
Yes. And so they divided it up. So the Walden family in Stock. Stock was where a lot of the farming and things would be taken and sorted and traded. So they had a very heavy hand in all the trade and the goods and things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Marxist family, which are in Crownside, they deal with a lot of the money. They've got banks and gold and things. And then you've got the royal family, who also deal in both, but they delegate out to their left and right hand, and that's the royal family, the Taliesin family. And you both had an inkling of all of this going on all together, but he also gives you more information, and he says, he describes it and gives you a more thorough understanding than you already had, but it's things you already knew.
So can I inquire? Are the Marxist family and the Taliesin, how do you say it? Taliesin family, are they still around?
The Taliesin family? You mean the royal family?
Royal family, yeah. So
of course,
they were the
of course, they're in the capital.
Okay, the Marxists, are they still around?
Oh yeah, as far as we know, unless anything's happened in the last day or two.
Okay. So we've just lost the Walden family.
Yeah, no big loss, to be honest with you. Although, to be fair, their replacements aren't great.
I was going to say, so they've disappeared and they've been replaced by Moscule and Monroe for the last 10 years or so.
Oh, yes. And they're having a great time with it, swanning around like they own the place. Well, of course, they bloody do, because they're the richest people here, but still.
We've heard some not good mushrooms about them.
I like the way you talk, little lady.
The analogy is perfect.
Cool. This is very interesting. Thank you. As someone that's travelled around Borsin, gotten involved with the political side of things, this is really useful information. Thank you.
That's all right. Anything for the heroes of the dungeon quest? Oh, that sounded ridiculous. Let's just call you great people.
That's right. I'm going to add it to my tattoo list. Heroes of Dungeon Quest.
OC sounds like a video game.
I'm going to also try to see if there's anyone that looks like they're a traveller or a travelling merchant that's taken up residence in this establishment with us.
All right, roll perception for me.
Ooh, yay. I shall take that one. I am so glad I would.
Oh, is it your first roll with your dice?
Yes.
Oh, your
yes,
actual dice that aren't cursed.
Yep. That will be. What's my? Is plus. So that will be a 19.
Ooh, very nice.
They work!
It works! I almost want to ask you for a picture as proof, but I'm not going to be that mean.
Give me 10 seconds.
He's turning the dice over.
No, it's okay. I
I
forgive
don't
you.
need
It's
to
fine.
do that. I get to roll with advantage.
True that.
Wait,
All right. So looking around, you don't see anyone who looks particularly like they've travelled and come from anywhere else. They all look like they're fairly localised. Because you've travelled so much, you know what it looks like to not quite fit. And everyone here seems to fit. All in their own different ways. Some are more comfortable than others, some are more tired than others, but everyone does seem to fit. However, you do notice that the two most promising looking people, and the first person you notice is female. She's got her back to you. She's sat at a table in the corner by the other fire. They're two quite big fires, so you can catch the heat from them wherever you are. She's got her back to you. She's got tightly curled brunette hair that's piled on her head. And she's sitting opposite from a young-looking clergyman. And they both look fairly... Well, the clergyman is quite young. He's very young to be a clergyman. And you get an air that he is world-wise, just because of how quickly he's risen to the position he's now in. And the girl just... Something about the way she's sitting. She's attentive. You feel like she is listening to everyone else's conversations going on around her.
DM, how long is her hair?
It's quite tightly curled, as in naturally curly, and it's all sort of pinned. It's all
curly hair.
Say again.
Is it short curly hair?
No, it's sort of shoulder length if it was down, but it's sort of been piled up as if she wants it out of her way.
Okay. Just, I've got in my notes there's a lady with short curly hair in the middle of the sexy party. I wondered if it was her.
Do I recognise which religion the clergyman's from?
I'm going to say you do. He's wearing the symbol of the god whose name I'm going to pronounce wrong, but never mind. It's Tyre. That sounds so bad.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm going to spell it to you, though.
That's right. I think I know which one.
Tyre,
Yeah.
which is a deity of justice, which you saw the symbols of in the Walden Castle as well, which is the balanced scales with, I believe, a warhammer. So where a Christian would wear a cross around their neck, he has that on a chain, and he's also got it emblazoned on the front, and he will have it, on the back of his robe as well.
Yep. Right, you. I think I might wander over to introduce myself.
Alright. Is the tiefling going alone?
I'm not much into religion, so I'm gonna hang nearby, but not join in with the conversation.
Okie dokies. Are you all just going to sit? I mean, you can play some more hands if you like, or you can sit and have a chat with those guys, or... I keep forgetting that two of your party are asleep.
Gone. I think it's literally just me and Galina here right now.
Yeah, Arissa's going to be back in a bit. Oh, there she is, speaking of which.
She's just popped up.
Hello!
Hello.
Just really overexcited my dog. He thought I was, saying hello to someone. He's been asleep most of the time anyway. Sorry.
Give him cuddles.
Yeah, he's got cuddles. He's in my lap underneath my folder of notes.
Aww. So you're basically using him as a table.
Yes, a very comfy table. And he doesn't mind. He's good like that. I'm gonna need to put a picture in the video when I upload this audio. Anyway. So at the moment it's just the Theritas who is going over to talk to the priest of Tyre. I just feel like I'm saying it wrong. It sounds like a car tyre. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try and say it in a more elven way, so it's sort of like Tyre. Or Tyr? Can we say Tyr? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, the priest of Tyr.
That's always the way I've mentally done it myself anyway.
Yeah, it sounds better. Arissa says, it sounds fun! So she's going to toddle off and talk to him as well, yes?
Yeah, Tia is pronounced like ear.
Awesome! I'm so glad. Awesome. Varric, yes, you would still be sleeping. It's probably about 10:30, so you two will wake up in the next half an hour.
Okay. Thank you.
Yay!
Yay! And just FYI, he'll probably be hungry.
That was
Yes.
That goes without saying.
I'm gonna assume that he's gonna be.
Alright, so you walk over. It's a table of 4. 2 seats are taken by the girl with the tightly curled brunette hair with her back to you and the priest, who looks about maybe 25 in human years. He's human. And yeah, are you going to sit or are you just sort of going to wander over and play?
I'm
Do what
going
you
to
like.
wander over and I'll give him a polite salute across my chest
Okay.
and introduce myself. It's like,
Oh,
Sit down. Just like, hi, I'm Arissa. It's so nice to meet you.
good evening. My name is Sir Vertharatus, Knight of the Old Golden Chalice.
The man looks up at you. He puts down his glass, which has it looks like a wine, but it's a watered down wine, a very mild wine for a man of faith. And he holds out his hand and stands up and he says, "Nice to meet you, traveller. Welcome. What brings you to this part of the world?"
I've been travelling for some time. As you probably may have heard from up north, things did not go well during the war. And
we have heard, yes.
I travelled for some times with a small war band of my fellows, and I'm basically at the moment looking for any news or anyone who may have seen any members of my order here in Boston.
And is that why you've come to speak to me?
Well, some members of my order, we're not all just members of soldiers of Helm. We are also warriors of Torm and Tyr as well. So I was somewhat hopeful that any Knights of Tyr had actually met up with your church here.
Oh, well, how marvellous. Of course, I am appreciative of anyone of faith, whatever your faith may be. But of course, anyone who shares my own belief is naturally the top of the list. Ha ha ha! He gives a sort of one of those laughs that says, "I don't mean to be rude. I'm going to laugh at myself." Ha 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 ha! Of course. Please take a seat. Take a seat. I'm afraid I don't know how much help I can be with your quest. I don't remember any travellers from our faith coming to this part of the world. None that weren't here already. And he motions to you. You're already sitting, Arissa?
Yeah, I've taken a seat when he's indicated to.
Yeah, alright. And he leans over to Arissa and he offers his hand to you and he says, "And you, lovely to meet you. Did you say your name? I'm sorry."
My name is Arissa. Arissa Wintergaze.
Hello, Arissa Wintergaze. Well, my name is Hiya Tom, and it is nice to meet you. I'm going to spell it, don't worry.
Thank God.
That's Hiya Tom.
So it's just like saying hello to Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hiya Tom. Literally, his name is just Hiya. But yes, and he's got quite fair hair, still fairly young looking. I mean, he's not old, but he still looks fairly young. And the robes he's wearing are not fancy. They're a bit tatty around the edges. They look like they are well cared for and patched and repaired, but by no means grand and exquisite or anything. He is a humble clergyman, a humble priest. He looks like he's in it for the love of it and has very little for himself.
Alright, I'll basically ask along the lines of, many people do talk to the priesthood of what they see and what they do. Have any travellers come from the north, or has anyone had word of strange travellers coming from the north?
He sips his drink and he thinks, and he says, well, not recently, but I have had, I'd say in the last couple of years, a few people have passed through these parts. Yes, some of them mentioned bad goings-on. I remember that most of them were escaping from the destruction and devastation, of course, in the terrible things that happened in Travis. And of course I welcome anyone down here who seeks sanctuary and refuge. A couple of them I offered to spend the night in our temple. A couple of them have accepted over the years, a few don't. Sometimes you never see them again. Sometimes I think they just want a friendly word and a kind face before they carry on their journeys.
Okay. That's quite interesting. Because I've heard word that at the very least there's been another tiefling that's come south, and are kind of not too frequent in these lands.
Ah, well, yes. In the nicest way possible, you do tend to stand out a little, if you'll forgive me for saying so.
That's perfectly okay.
He does the nervous laugh again. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Well, I must say, you're the first tiefling I've had an encounter with. I've seen pictures, of course. There's the posters. I'm sure you might have noticed. They've been dotted around here. I'm sure they're all over Borson, in fact, I can't remember his name. There is a wanted tiefling, though. Supposed to have done many bad things. And
Yes,
he came down from the north. I believe Travis, he came down from Travis, in fact.
sorry, DM, you're broken up a bit there at the moment.
Sorry, he said, yes, I believe he came down from Travis, in fact, wanted for all sorts of terrible things.
Yes, I've heard of this one.
I'm assuming you're not acquainted with the fellow in question.
No. My order, however, is one that has travelled from town to town, and we do tend to seek criminals such as him, as well as wandering monsters, and try to bring them to justice.
Well, I must say, it sounds like a very noble profession. Of course, I tend to avoid violence, but I'm not one to tell other people how to live their lives and deal out their justices. I'm afraid I can't help you with a lot of what you seek, I'm afraid. Are you searching for this man in question for any particular reason?
I've spoken to the guards of the town fairly recently, and they did mention that he had crossed the border and come south, and due to the nature of my profession, I do tend to hunt down those that do wrong, especially crimes such as murder.
I must say, again, I think it is a noble profession. If I had half the strength of you, I would wish to do something similar, but sadly, I'm not quite built for it, as you can see. And he's fairly thin and slender. He looks a little bit underfed, actually. He does look a bit like he's a slender man, but he looks like he's foregone a few meals over the last few years. And
Thank you for your time.
that is not a problem, my child. If you wish to speak to us again, we are at the temple just down past, and I will show you on the map. NPC pauses talking for a moment.
There you go. Jump that up. Next to the school, isn't it?
No. Haha!
Ooh.
You thought you knew what the DM was going to do, but you were wrong, my friend. You were wrong.
Don't second guess the DM.
Boys, it's more entertaining that way.
As long as it doesn't get us into trouble, that's okay.
No, it's all right. He didn't do anything mean. It's fine.
Yeah.
There was someone in the Sunday group who had to roll a d6 every time he did anything because he got drunk. Not because he annoyed me, but just because he got drunk. But it's the kind of thing I could do if I wanted to. Alright. This map is going to have it circled in pink, and he's going to give you directions verbally as well, but just so that you can see it as well. There are 2 temples in town. You've walked past them both. One of them you walked past as you were avoiding the guard barracks, ironically, the first time. And the other one is the posh one that's up near the Respite Tavern. And the one that's circled is, you noticed it was a slightly more run-down one. And when you walked around the back of it, when you were avoiding the guard barracks, that was the one that had the queue of people waiting outside.
Wow.
And he gives you the brief directions from here, and he says you go to the market and you turn towards the castle, and we're down there. He says we are small but mighty, and we have a decent-sized congregation. Actually, it's been getting quite a lot bigger and more regular recently. I've had to start opening every day. Usually we only did a couple of times a week, and then of course, we're open every day for anyone to come in and worship with us quietly in prayer, but we've had a lot more people, so we've been running twice daily, morning and evening, mass actually.
People always seek justice and protection. These troubles.
People are particularly troubled at the moment, yes. There's a lot of fear, a lot of badness in the air. Yes.
Has anyone spoken specifically of any of this badness and what's causing their fear?
Well, yes. I don't really like to encourage gossip and rumour. And because I don't know any of the people personally, I can't guarantee. But people are frightened because over the last year or so, children have been going missing.
No.
Was that a sarcastic shock, or...?
Was Arissa just being like, what? Because Arissa likes children.
That's okay. Also, I love the fact that I said, children have been going missing, and in the chat, Varric was popped up with a question mark. As in, like, did you get so hungry you ate a child again?
He shot them in the arm and then ate them.
Don't be mean, he's not here to defend himself.
I see. He's still sleeping.
He's still sleeping with a little angel halo over his face. Anyway, so, sorry, yes. And he looks across at you and he says, oh yes, it is terrible, terrible times. And the worst part is I can offer nothing but comfort. What small comfort you can offer in times like that. I didn't know any of the people personally. They'd never come to Mass before, but suddenly we had women coming and saying that their babies had vanished in the night and that their children had gone out for the day to play at weekends and never come back home.
Was there any location that they went missing in?
Well, it started, and we thought it was just the poorer end of town. But I've heard tell through the priest, whose name I will tell you now. Volson, I'm going to type this out.
Volson.
He says,
Volson.
Volson Creek, who runs the other temple in town, the slightly larger one. It's quite near here, actually. If you go round the corner, you'll get to the front door. They are slightly grander and more fancy than we are, but nonetheless, we're on amicable terms. And I've heard through him that people have been reporting their children missing from that end of town as well, so the original theory that it was the poorer end of town children appears to not have been correct. So far there's
Children
been...
going missing in just general.
So far there's been about 8. 8 have gone missing. Two were no older than 1. And then a couple of 3-year-olds. 1 was 5, and the others were around 10 to 11. Dreadful business.
Definitely so.
Do you have any idea who could be doing this?
Well, if you'd asked me 11 years ago, I would have said that Sharpin-Rod fellow. Oh, do excuse me. It is not nice to point the blame without any evidence.
We are acquainted with the fellow, unfortunately. We have heard word around town of him.
Ah, then, well, you'll forgive me anyway. It was unjust of me to accuse such a person, but as
However,
I said,
understandable at this stage.
but thankfully he's no longer in our part of the country. So, I honestly couldn't tell you.
No other ideas?
Honestly, I just hope it stops. People are terrified, and we do what we can, but it's just... I mean, what can you say? What can you even do?
We've heard of a group called No Wings that seems to have quite a lot of children amongst them.
Oh, yes.
Is it possible that it could be them?
Well, I did consider it, of course, in one of my darker moments. But all the children I've seen running around with their symbols on them make it home every night.
Interesting.
I mean, of course, and he sort of lowers his voice here, in a, I really don't want to be talking like this, but I feel like I should tell you anyway. And he says, of course, considering all avenues and any option, it could all be a giant cover-up, and somehow they're doing something to some children and yet letting the rest run around to make them look as if they're fine, but that... Again, I speak out of turn. I would not like to accuse such people when I have no evidence or problems.
Such people? Which people?
Well, the No-Wings lot. I can say neither good nor bad about them, except that they've made some children quite happy. They've provided them some food and some gold, by the sounds of it, in return for running errands for them or collecting information and things. I've never asked. It's not my business to ask what they ask of the children, but as far as I can tell, the children are happy.
Who runs the No Wings, do you know?
I wish I did. I would offer them any number of things to come and help us out, properly, without having to hide themselves, but I don't know. But some part of me thinks they must have been sent by the angels. They're certainly helping children, and these are children with no money and barely a scrap of food some days, and they're coming home well fed. It's one less thing for their parents to worry about, I suppose.
I'm just going to lean back in my chair a bit, really close to the fire, and have my tail flicking in and out of it while I'm thinking.
Awesome. Helps you to think. The woman who sat opposite him has sat and listened to you this whole time. And she's the one with the tightly curled brown hair, and she's got dark eyes, and she looks around about 19, 18. and she's sipping on a glass of similar watered down wine. And she also sits back in her chair, not entirely comfortably, but more open to you now. She's listened to what you have to say. And you just spot that as you sit back that she's doing a similar thing.
Yeah. I'm going to look in her direction and just use thaumaturgy to change my eye colour, just to see if anyone reacts to this. And what colour I should change them this time. You know what?
The priest, Haya.
I'll go gold.
The priest, Haya, looks impressed but in a humble way. And the girl looks you dead in the eyes and just blinks. And Apricity is apparently going, ooh, glittery.
I'm just going to sit and think for a little bit.
Alright.
Well, this is all interesting information.
I'll say that it's hitting around the 11 o'clock at night mark, so Redo and Varric, you guys can be awake now. Although I don't know if either of them can hear me, because it looks like they might be muted.
I think Barrick's here.
I'll just type it to them.
Cool.
Actually, that will probably be the final question I ask for the night. Have you heard either rumours of the castle itself, Walden Castle?
Oh, good question.
It's come to our attention that it's not quite as unoccupied as it would be made to be believed.
That'll be a fine story one day.
And a great song she'll write about it. He says, oh. And the girl who hasn't spoken yet says, in what way?
Well, we came across at least one no-wings in there.
And we discovered the ending of the Walden family mystery.
Oh, says Haya. He says, well, of course it is not my place to ask, but if you discovered something like that, I feel someone ought to know, although I couldn't think who. I mean, perhaps the elders, perhaps the leaders of the town, rather. The town leaders. Perhaps they ought to know. Did you definitely find out what happened to them? And the girl puts her glass down on the table and leans forward and says, yes, what did you find out?
Apricity's just put, they did.
They did.
I mean, true.
In the baddest way.
I like Varric's version of events.
Varric says we may have slightly murdered what was left of them.
And with the stress on slightly.
I'll just point out what was left of them tried to slightly murder us.
That's very true. Very true.
It was a variation of defense, but still.
Barrett got to kill some other kids. It was his favourite.
So I tactfully relay the story. Nothing about child murdering, but more along the lines of...
Their souls to rest.
Oh, we discovered the graves of the head of the family and his wife, and she just kind of goes on like that. Just, oh.
The priest takes this all in, and you can tell that it's a bit beyond him. He's he's a man of God, he's a man of faith, he's a man of, he certainly wouldn't have asked any questions about sexy parties. And he listens to this all carefully and takes a small sip of his watered down wine and says, right. Gosh. And the girl says, and do you know why they went down there in the first place?
As to why the Walden family went down at the dungeon.
Yes.
So,
I mean, you think you found them, but why was they down there in the first place?
Ooh.
I look across at Arissa and go, you found what looked like a journal, but I don't recall seeing what was in it.
I only saw the last page.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up and old, and the last page was just about legible, and it was a young kiddie handwriting, and it said something along the lines of, so hungry, can't, mustn't, don't want to, forgive us, mother, father. Oh, and it said something about must dig them up, sorry, mother, father. That was it.
So the curly-haired girl is saying, why did they all go down to the dungeon? Like the mother and the father as well?
Yeah, she said, like, so you found the bodies of all of them, but why were they there? Did you find out why?
That we're not sure of.
Oh, ask about Muscule and Monroe, maybe. Because they're the guys that took over, so...
What we can also question is, has anyone else been thrown in there in the last 10 years?
Ooh, good question.
Because it would be quite believable that they should have come across those children, especially almost immediately after.
They were not children.
Well, there would have been children at one point.
Do you, so in the last 10 years, if anyone's been thrown down there? And the priest, Hayar, says, oh yes, plenty of people, but of course they never got out. Not like you.
How do the guards get in and out?
We only ever see them go in large groups. We presumed, before you told us this story, we always presumed it was to make sure that their prisoners could not escape, of course. But they always go in a large group, lots of torches, lots of weapons. I assumed they always knew where they were going. We were told it was like a labyrinth down there, and we assumed the guards must have some sort of map or knowledge or something.
Suddenly silent.
Everyone is thinking and pondering.
I have 6 intelligence, give me some time.
C-A-T. Cat.
Ask my question.
Ooh. Has there been any theories why the family disappeared, or why they could possibly have vanished without a trace yet be found in the dungeon?
Are you asking both of them or the girl in particular, seeing as she's put her
I'll
in
ask it
capital
generally,
letters?
but I'll be watching the girl.
Okay. She doesn't say anything, and the priest, Hayatom, says, well, people have spent the last 10 years or so making up various different versions, which, you'll forgive me for saying, have got more ludicrous as time's gone on. It seems they got bored of the sensible options and carried on getting more and more ridiculous. But people were even talking of magic at some point, would you believe it? But
Out of curiosity, was there anything that actually happened before they went missing? Any major event? Anything that catches the mind?
The only thing I remember, and I was quite young at the time, I was... Hang on, gotta do some mental maths now.
Pum pum pum.
It was 10 years ago, and he's like 25, 24, so he would have been about 14. I was just a young lad myself. I was starting out my training in the church, but I do remember it was a few months after that whole business with Sharp and Rot getting released to go back to the capital.
Interesting.
The girl, just while you were watching her, she sort of nods as he says, you know, the theories have got more ridiculous as they go along, and she sort of nods, and she looks like she'd have been even younger than him at the time when they disappeared.
Yep.
Because she is 18, 19 now, so she would have been 8, 9.
Yep. I think I've heard most of what I need to hear. Thank you for your time, both of you.
The girl sort of watches you out of the corner of her eye as you walk away, but smiles and like inclines her head. And the priest, Hiya Tom, toasts to you, clanks his glass to you, and says, "Of course, and should you require anything, or just want to chat or somewhere to lay up, you have a place to stay for the night, I assume?"
Yes, we've managed to secure beds for the night. But thank you
Excellent.
very much for the offer.
You've probably heard this already, but I would recommend staying in after nightfall. People get so worried about things. I would just, as a general rule, say get yourselves into bed. Oh, I mean, it is quite late now. Perhaps we ought to adjourn back to the temple and to our rooms. And he says,
I think it's...
Sorry, were you talking to him?
I was about to say, sounds like a good plan for all of us.
Yes. He says, "Well, perhaps we shall meet again. You know where we are." He says, "Debois," to the girl, and she says, "Yes, I am coming. Good night." And they both wrap cloaks around themselves and they head out the door.
So, did we catch the spelling of that name?
Yep. Debois.
Debois.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's interesting. You seem to do have almost like a German accent, but Debois is French.
I hope you're not going to take the piss out of the NPC voices again. I've heard about this.
I didn't say I was taking the piss, I'm just saying it's interesting.
My French and German tend to sort of meld together, so it's Furman.
Cool. I've been listening to this subtly because I'm sneaky.
Snooker.
Sneaky stab.
So when you were saying ask about this, that was just Apricity like waving her arms in mouth.
Standing under the table, punching Vert's chins.
She's playing charades on top of a table.
Very
So,
sneakily
guys,
playing charades, though.
I'm thinking, so it's pretty late now. We've had a pretty stressful couple of days of having a crazy sexy time party and then breaking out of a dungeon. I'm thinking that this little gnome go to bed.
Yeah.
Alright, so this little gnome is going to bed. Is everyone... two of you have already been to bed. You can go back to bed, or what are you all doing?
Yeah, we have a different plan.
I'm gonna kind of nod at Redo and Varric as I know what the fuck they're up to. I'm gonna kind of do them a little good luck, guys, and then I'm gonna sneak off to bed.
So
I
I'm going to
signal
walk up the
Vert as
stairs.
well because I signal Vert as well because I told him why I went to bed early.
That's all good. I give him a nod and go, if there's trouble, call us.
We'll find a way.
I just kind of happily go, "Good night," without realising what's going on.
Bye, Arissa!
Bye. Very
Alright.
nice.
Sleep tight.
Come on, Rissy, go to bed.
I'll be back in the morning.
Okay, have fun.
Cool, I'm in bed. Night.
Alright, so those of you who are not in bed, what are you doing?
We're going to sneak out, right?
Sneaky, sneaky.
Have fun with the paranoid freaked out one.
Hey, I've been good all day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she
know.
was talking to you.
Freak out, right? At least you can't see colours in the dark, so that's good.
Oh, it's a very good thing that you're an elf, because dark vision is useful
Yeah.
now. Let's not light a torch as we walk through the streets.
That's actually a good idea.
To be frank, I think the vast majority of us benefit from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, we'll leave you with a cup of tea.
I'll take a glass of wine instead, but sure.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna pull up my hood and like wrap my scarf around my face, hiding myself, like making my figure darker and such, and more unrecognizable.
Alright.
I'm just gonna scroll through wherever we're going.
Alright, so how many of you are going?
Two.
Two? Just you two, yeah? Alright. And you're going to the fancy house with the blue door?
I would suggest going to the like close to that fancy house, but first observe from a distance.
Alright, observing from a distance. Alright.
Can I stay vigilant like along the way to make sure that we're not seen or followed or anything?
Yeah, of course you can. Roll a stealth check for me.
Ooh, I like rolling stealth. That's a 24 total.
Ooh,
Ooh,
natural
very
20.
Ooh.
I was gonna say I'm probably not very stealthy. Yeah, no, I don't get any pluses for
That's
that.
okay.
But still.
You both get into the zone and are concentrating on sneaky, 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 sneaky. And you rock your way past the school and sticking to the shadows, although there really is no one about. And you notice it is very quiet. There's a few torches burning in brackets across the place to be makeshift street lamps, but it is very quiet. People have closed their doors, shut their windows, not out. You can't really hear a lot of noise from inside either. People aren't talking and laughing. People aren't walking about in the streets. They are at home and presumably all in bed. You approach the largest and fanciest of the houses in the rich district. The gardens are all very well kept. The railings are all very high. They have slanting roofs, some thatched, some timber. And you see a large house with a very large blue door and a porch. And you sneak around near it, and you see that there are a couple of guards posted out the side of the front door, just keeping an eye. They don't see you. You stay far enough back that you're out of the way. They don't have any massive weapons. They've got some short swords and crossbows between them, but nothing particularly ginormous and crazy.
How many guards did we see?
2 by the front door.
Is there any way we can sneak behind the house and try to get through the back door?
Sure, you can have a look around the back of the house. There is garden that goes all the way round, and there's another guard by a back door.
What do you
Also
think,
with
Barry?
short swords?
Say
Also
again?
with short swords? The guard at the back door, does he have a short sword as well?
Yeah, he's got a short sword and he's got a crossbow as well.
Okay. Well, really, perhaps we could take a different angle as well by climbing one of the houses nearby.
Okay, but then if we want to get into the house, do you just suggest we drop in through the roof?
The roof, maybe a window. Wait, can I roll to see if there's any open windows or like that?
Sure, roll me an investigation. No, perception. Perception.
Yes. That's...
You want me to roll as well?
If you want to look for windows as well, yes. If not, one of you will do.
I think it would be useful to both look for windows and such.
17.
Okay. You spot one half-open window on the top floor, which is the third floor of the house. It looks like it might be a bedroom window or a bathroom window. It's quite small. It looks as though you could fit through, as long as, Varric, you haven't eaten too much pie today.
Well, high elf metabolism, right?
Yes, but it is on the third floor. And it's on the back of the building. So
is there any way
three...
to climb without being found? Like, do I re-roll stealth? And then athletics or something to climb?
You'll have to roll perception first to find a way to get up there, because this is a big house with a big garden. So in order to climb a nearby house, you then have to jump from that roof onto the roof of this house, which would involve getting over the fence of the garden and across the garden.
Okay, I'll roll perception first then. I think I find a way. 24. No natural 20.
Nice.
Okay. And Reedu's got a 14, yes. Alright. Reedu, you notice that the window is almost directly above, but 3 stories above, where the guard is standing by the back door. However, you notice that there's another few with sills that you could climb between that reach round to the side of the house, where the guards are not. But there's no door on the side of the house. None of the windows on the side are open, but there are plenty of sills that you could clamber up and along. Varric, you notice that there's a tall house with a porch roof fairly close by. You could climb up the porch onto the roof, and from there get onto the top of the high fence, and then make your way across to the side of the garden, and then attempt to climb up the windows on the side of the house.
Well, I look at Reedu and whisper, should I try climbing across there? What do you think?
Wait. Is the guard male?
Yes.
Okay, then, before we start climbing, I'm gonna try and distract him. So I'm going to use my cantrip and create an illusion of a woman who is half naked and is whispering to him. She sort of appears like in front of him, maybe...
In front of him, or like behind the fence where you are in front of him, or like in front where he is?
So where are we in relation to him?
You are behind a fence, like a metal looping fence, looking across the garden towards him stood by the back door.
Okay. Then can I make her appear in the opposite side, so he turns his back to us?
Yeah.
Okay, then I do that. And she's whispering to him, "Hey you, yes you, come here." And she starts like turning around and walking off in the opposite direction of where we are.
Alright. He sees her appear from what seems to be round the side of the house, And at first he like raises his crossbow at this first seeing someone appear, and then lowers it slightly and looks at her, and then sort of his jaw opens a little bit, and he sort of does the what'd you say? What?
Do you want me to talk as a woman?
Sure, do it.
I need your help. Can you please follow me?
Yeah. Yeah. What can I do for you? And he walks towards her, and he's looking down towards the other side of the house now. So he's not completely got his back to you, but if you were on the side of the garden where the side of the house is, you could get across there without him seeing you. You just need to be very stealthy going across his wall.
So while the guard is distracted, I start climbing, basically.
Roll me an athletics to climb, and then a stealth for when you've got over.
Wait, athletics to climb?
Yeah.
Okay. That plus 4 helps. That's 19 total. Athletics.
Alright, so you make it from the porch roof to the top of the fence, and then down again onto the side of the garden. And now roll me a stealth for going across the garden. Redo with your 11. You take longer getting onto the top of the porch and then onto the roof, and you wobble a lot as you jump to the fence, and the illusion of the girl starts to flicker around the edges, and the guard like shakes his head and looks at her, but you manage to make it seem like it might have just been a trick of the light, or maybe he was imagining it, but he's got quite close to her now. Is she walking away from him, or is she just stood there beckoning him to her?
She's walking away from him.
Alright. He starts to follow her a bit slower, sort of looking at her strange. Varric, 21 strength, and Redo, 12 strength. Oh, stealth. Okay. Varric, you stealth like a little ninja cat across the garden. You get onto the windowsill of the lower floor, haul yourself onto the second story, round the edge and up onto the third story window, and you edge along, and you're now standing on the sill of the open window, looking across at Redo and holding out your hand to it. Redo, you slip across the side of the garden, fine. But as you begin to climb and reach up to grab onto the window to get yourself up to the second story, your foot slips a little, and as you're trying to catch yourself, you lose focus and the girl disappears. And the guard is now stood, not looking in your direction still, but he's like, "Oi, what? And he is now peering into the garden around where the girl disappeared. So roll me a strength to heave yourself up.
Did you say strength?
Yeah.
Can I help in any way with that?
You're not over near her. You can move back over to her.
I got a 10 total.
Alright.
I think I would try to help.
Alright.
If at all possible.
If he's helping you, roll it again, so you've got an advantage on yourself, so you can re-roll that one.
Ooh, natural 20 plus
Ooh.
1, 21.
Alright, so between the two of you, you get her up onto the sill. You're both now...
That was lucky.
You're both now on the sill of the second story window around the side of the house. The guard is peering into some bushes near where the girl disappeared. You each managed to get round to his side of the house, and you're now on the third story window. Can you each roll me a final stealth, because he's about to turn and be facing where you are?
19.
So 22 Varric and 19 Redu. And Vitheritas is now face palming because he just remembered that he has rope he could have loaned you. Alright. You two manage to get yourselves onto the sill of the 3rd story window that is open, just as the guard turns back to look at the door and walk back to his original post. Because you're 2-3 stories above him, he doesn't instantly look at you, but you freeze and shrink yourselves into the edges of the windowsill where it's darkest and hold your breath. And Varric, suddenly very aware of how much you've eaten today, you suck in your stomach and sort of go... But at the same time, a nervous hunger creeps up in you. The guard doesn't spot you. He looks very confused, goes back to his post by the door, double checks that the door is still locked, peers out into the dark garden and goes, yeah, not gonna get me.
Okay.
I take a nervous bite of my apple.
Are you sure you don't want to wait until we get in for that?
It's Varric. No, he can't wait.
Alright.
I'm sorry.
Alright.
Do we sneak in now?
Roll me a stealth check for eating the apple.
Oh, fuck.
Let me guess, 7.
Oh, I'm so happy with my +7. That might have just saved me.
What did you roll?
I rolled a 7.
Told ya.
The cursed 7 strikes again. It's moved from one V to the other V. Alright.
Damn it.
Gotta share the love.
You pull an apple out of your pocket and watching Ridu's shocked, horrified and very silent miming of, no, put it, wait, no, no, no. You stuff it in your gob and manage to do a very silent, very slow motion chomp. And you, like a child who's just been told to close their mouth when they chew, you plant your lips very firmly together and chomp on it and grind it up with your back teeth, like, and you swallow it like Scooby-Doo. Alright, both of you roll me a stealth for getting in through the window now.
26.
That's better.
What? 18.
Alright, you both manage to shimmy through the window and you find yourselves on the top floor of a very fancy house. It's got statues, it's got... Varric, actually, you notice some very nice picture frames. like edged in with gold engravings, like gold leaf on them and stuff, and beautiful ornate paintings of beautiful looking people, and a few fairly recent ones of who you presume are the Newtown leaders, and trinkets and trophies, all different things collected, very fancy looking items. And yes.
What do you
So
want to
it's just a hallway with picture frames, a bedroom with picture frames, right? Fancy looking.
Yes, it's a fancy looking spare bedroom. Well, empty bedroom.
Barry, we are not taking any picture frames with us.
No, they would be too difficult to drag out anyway.
Is the only reason.
But if there's food, I'm bringing it.
There's... Right, should we...
Can I look through the night tables, bedside tables and such to find...
That's what I was going to say.
Something like a journal or anything.
Sure, both roll me investigations. 16 for
15
Varric,
total.
and 15 for Redo. Alright. You find a very beautiful, very lovely hand-sewn little ball which you stuff lavender into to make things smell nice in a sock drawer. There are no socks in it, it's just an empty drawer, but it's got a little ball rolling around in it that smells sweet of like lavender and flowers. Varric, you find a old apple core down the side of one of the drawers, which has fallen down there and been obviously missed and forgotten about. But not a lot else. This is a spare room, it doesn't really seem to have much in it.
Okay. I just look sad at the apple core, because it's just an apple core.
I say we get out of this room.
Further into the house?
Well, yeah, that was the point of us climbing all the way up here, wasn't it, El?
Yeah, true.
Okay, let's go then.
Can we peek around the corner for the door? Like, just open it slightly and peek around the corner.
Sure. You open the door very slowly and carefully. For a second, you feel like it's going to do an ominous sort of creak, but it stops. It sort of does a creak, and you manage to open it. You see a fairly long hallway with windows that are closed out over the back garden, and there's a couple of candles lit. There's a door to your left heading downwards. There's another door further down, another door at the far end of the corridor, and there's a set of spiral stairs heading downwards.
Okay, what exactly are you hoping to find in this house, Barry?
Anything that could give us some leverage for when we go to talk to these people.
Okay, do you think it's worth checking for traps, or can we just be sure that seeing as they're humans and...
I'm gonna assume that they are humans, and they live in this house, so they'll be paranoid enough to actually place...
What?
Paranoid.
I don't know the meaning of that word, I'm afraid.
Don't say that word out loud to her.
They won't be...
Wait. I'm hearing something. Can you hear that? There's barking coming from one of the doors.
What did you say? Barking?
Yeah, can you not hear that?
No.
Okay.
Mission with the crazy person. What the fuck were you thinking?
Hey! I take offense to that.
Varric, you definitely cannot hear barking.
I don't hear anything, but if you hear something, we should probably avoid that door.
Yeah, I agree. That's the door on the left, so let's just go and check out the other two. I think there were two more now.
Yeah, and there was the spiral staircase, right?
Yeah, we should leave that for last. Let's finish with this floor first.
Yeah.
Alright, so you're in the hall. You've got a door either end of the passage, stairs leading down, and another door in the middle.
You can say whichever door we pick, Ridu. I'll just follow along.
The closest one to us, that's not the one on the left.
Can I peek through that door again as well, to just like through the keyhole?
What, the one with the parking? No, I'm not gonna let...
No, the other one.
Oh, okay. Then...
I'm just gonna humor you and go to the other door.
So, you've got a door to the very end of the corridor, which is where she thought she heard the barking from. There's a door right down the other end. There's the door you just came from in the spare room, and there's another door next to it. So, are you looking through the keyhole of the barking door, or of the one next door to you? Or the one down the other end?
The one next door.
The one next door. Alright, you look through the keyhole, and you see a very dimly lit and fairly poorly cleaned bathroom.
I whisper to Ridu, this is just a bathroom. Probably won't find anything there, right?
I mean, if they're humans, they might have some meds in their medicine cabinet.
That could be a very good point.
I'd say we go in and have a look. I mean, you never know why they have some big debilitating disease that we can then use to our advantage when we talk to them.
Dark.
Okay, so I tried to get into the bathroom.
Yeah, I'll follow along and just keep watch on the hallway as well.
Okay, sounds good. Can I open the door, DM?
Yeah, you want right at the end.
The bathroom.
Oh, the bathroom one. All right, yeah, you can open the door. It's not locked.
Okay. I go in and I assume they have some sort of cabinet or cupboard or something in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Can I check it? Have a
Yeah.
look and see.
I whisper to Ridu. Sharing whatever we find, right?
Sorry, can you say that again?
We're sharing whatever we find.
Oh yeah,
Right?
of course.
All right. So you have a look, and in the cupboards, they're actually quite bare.
No. It's disappointing, Derek. There's nothing here really.
I mean, there's a few flannels and towels, but nothing really very exciting.
Okay. Then I head back to the door and tell Derek that we should go and check out the next room, the one at the end of the corridor.
Yeah, then we're going for the next door indeed.
All right. So you've got the room that was right down the end with the barking, the one you just came from, or the one down the very far end.
Down the very far end.
All right. Are you opening
The
it, or are
one
you?
without barking.
Yeah.
All right.
Another peeking through the keyhole first.
All right. You peek through the keyhole, and this is another bedroom. The first thing you notice when you look through the keyhole is the bed currently has an occupant.
I turn around to Ridu, and I just signal, "Shh! There's someone in here."
Okay.
Shall I stealthily open the door?
You
Do I
can-
recognize this person, like from descriptions that we heard?
You can't see a lot because it is very dark, but you can see that
I
it
do
looks
have
like
bird vision.
it looks like a portly man, a portly male figure, and you can see the back of his head. He's got fairly thin hair and a bald patch on the back of his head.
Okay.
How's the room? Is it fancy or?
It's fairly well decorated, but nothing new. It's all from what you know of the world. It's fairly old things. There's nothing new here, like new and bought. It's all acquired old things to make himself look fancy. There's a big grandfather clock in one corner that's fairly dusty and run down, and you can tell just from the way it's moving that it's in need of a polish and things, and it's a little bit, what's the word? Rusty, that's the word.
Okay.
It's a little bit rusty.
Okay.
Do you think it's worth investigating this room?
I don't know, it's a big risk with someone inside.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I don't think it's worth our time. Should we go down the spiral staircase instead?
Yeah, let's explore first.
All right, are you heading down the stairs?
Yes,
Yeah.
as stealthily as possible.
All right. All right, you make your way down the staircase and you find yourself on another landing. You're on the second floor now, the middle floor. And there is 3 doors on this corridor. There's 2 at either end and 1 down the middle.
Can I look through the keyhole from the one in, like, that's not on one of either ends?
Yeah, the one in the middle. Yeah. Alright, you look through the keyhole and you see another bathroom.
This is another bathroom.
Again, fairly dusty and not dirty, but just not as well kept and clean as you would expect a high and mighty fancy house to have its bathroom.
Okay. If yeah, I'd say let's not bother with the bathroom. Let's just go down one end of the corridor and have a look through the keyhole.
You going?
That seems to be our MO.
You going right or left?
Right.
All right. As you go to the right, you notice there's another set of stairs heading downwards just beyond that door that you checked, and you're peeking through the keyhole. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You peek through the keyhole and you see a very fancy sort of drawing room, like a sitting room. It's got some chairs and fancy sofa and another very tall grandfather clock and some bookshelves with dusty volumes on them and a big fireplace.
Okay, Barrick, I think this is the room. It looks like a drawing room, and there might be some books or cupboards we can look through.
Let's try and see if there's anything of interest.
Yeah, let's try and open the door first.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Well, in that case, we open the door and enter and look for anything of interest. Of course, as stealthily as possible, again.
All right. Cool. All right. You open the door. And you have a brief intake of breath because the door made a louder noise than you were expecting, but it's alright. The house stays fairly silent. There's the ticking of grandfather clocks and rustling as wind creaks against the windows and things. And you walk in and you see that the chairs are fairly old. Again, they're fancy and ornate chairs, but they're old. And they haven't been reupholstered. And they're fraying around the edges, and the feet are scuffed and unpolished. And
why would they not take care of their furniture if they're really that rich?
Well, from what I've seen so far in the house, it doesn't seem they really are that rich. I think they're just trying to keep up the pretense.
what an astute character you are, my dear.
Why, thank you.
So, were you looking at the bookshelves?
Yeah, or any kind of like drawers where there might be papers.
Basically just looking around trying to find anything that could help us when we go to talk to these people tomorrow.
Right. Roll me an investigation for me.
Yes, natural 20.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
18 total.
Very good. Alright, Barrick, you find a desk and chair, and inside that desk you find a large file full of the names of people who have been sent to the Walden's dungeon as punishment, not by the Waldens, but in the last 10 years, by Mustel Moskule and Lieth Monroe.
Okay.
And they also details the crimes they were sent there for. On the most recent piece of paper you find all of your names, or it's a lot of first names. It sounds like you were either too drunk or refused to give a full name. So, in fact, apricity is spelt wrong and it looks more like Iprisa. And Varric,
So
your name
we're
is not
actually
on
making-
there. Varric, your name isn't on there. It just says Cream Elf.
We know.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna call you from now on.
Okay. I don't think this is that useful, to be honest.
And you,
it could be.
you,
We now have names of everyone who opposed them.
and Redo also, you find nothing that you think is very important, but the bookshelves, they confirm your suspicions. There's a lot of very old, fancy-looking books. You can tell from some of them have got covers, which have obviously been sitting in a place in another house where they've caught the sun. And you know when a book's been sitting somewhere for a long time and it starts to get a faded line where the sun's hit it every day? A lot of these books have it in the same place, but they've clearly been taken out of one place and then put into these shelves in this fancy house, and it doesn't match up, and they look like they obviously aren't from here. And you notice again as you look around the room, nothing here is very new. It's all old things, very nice things, but nothing new. There is one portrait, which is of a tall woman with dark hair, she's in her 40s but looking beautiful. And she stood next to a rotund, portly man with thinning hair, looking very regal. And that looks like it was commissioned 10 years ago. But that's the newest thing in here.
Is that the same guy as that we saw in the room upstairs?
Considering you only saw the back of his head and under some covers, it's a pretty good guess that yes, it's him.
Okay. Then I turn to Barrick and I tell him, I don't think these people have bought anything new in a really long time. My guess is they have financial trouble, so we could probably use that when we see them tomorrow.
That could definitely be useful. They'll probably deny anything we say, though.
That's okay, we don't have to just throw it in their face. We can just tell the others and come up with a cunning plan.
That seems like a good idea. So, shall we quietly head out then?
Did you want to check out the other room on this corridor?
Yeah, while we're here.
Yeah.
Might as well. We sneak to the other room, closing the door behind us, of course.
As you sneak down the corridor, you notice that outside it started to rain. You reach the door down the other end of the corridor. Are you opening it, or are you looking through the keyhole again?
Looking.
Alright.
Definitely looking.
You peek through the keyhole, and you see that this is a makeshift judgment chamber. There is 2 seats at one end, and what looks like in a courtroom you'd have a box where the defendant stood. It's one of those in the middle of the room. It looks a bit odd and out of place. And there's another fancy portrait of the man and woman behind the 2 chairs. And the windows in here have bars on them.
Is it worth sneaking into this judgment chamber, you think?
Well, I presume that you told me what you saw through the air, and...
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, let's go. I just, barge in and open the door.
You're gonna get us fucking killed.
Okay, is there anything else we can see in the room now after actually getting in the room?
Alright, so you've just thrown open the door and gone in.
Yeah.
Did you slam open the door?
I didn't slam it, I just opened it without thinking about being stealthy.
Alright. Noted.
I sigh loudly.
Noted. Alright. Varric, you're also getting extra nervous hungry now.
I'll eat a slight... Wait, I had one more lemon. I'm gonna eat a lemon.
Alright. Roll me a d20.
That's not good. 4.
Alright. The lemon hits you as very bitter and very sour. And almost instinctively, before you can stop yourself, you go, ooh!
I turn towards Larry. You're right there.
Yeah, it's a bit sour.
Are
But
you
it's edible.
getting hungry?
Yes, very.
You've now got lemon juice all down your hand, by the way.
Shit. I wipe my hand on the fur from my leather armor. Like on the hide bits.
Alright.
Okay. I actually have some food on me, but I don't tell Varric that. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna ignore what happened to him, and we're gonna start looking around the room, I suppose.
Yeah.
Alright. You look around the room. This one is very bare. There's the 2 chairs that sit at the end with the big portrait behind it of the man and the woman. And there's the judgment box where you imagine looking at it, defendants would stand.
Okay. I want to do 2 things in here. I want to have a look at the box, see if there's anything like crashed onto it or I don't know, anything around there. And I also want to check behind the portrait.
Alright. Roll me an investigation.
Can I write it down?
Yeah,
Just
sure.
check one first. That's a total of 9.
I got a total of 12.
Alright. You look in the box and you see that someone has scratched painstakingly with what must have been a fingernail whilst being judged. And it's in common and it says, "Fuck Muscule, wouldn't fuck Monroe."
Okay.
You approach the portrait and you look at it for a little while and you tug at one of the corners and it swings open and you see a safe hidden in the wall behind it.
If only we had that known us.
They've given you my steely stuff.
Yeah.
That's okay. Just make a note of it and I'll go and steal it tomorrow.
I'm gonna assume that lockpicking. Yeah, that's not gonna be an option for us now.
No,
Right?
you need at least to have lockpicking or thieves tools. If not, you need some sort of proficiency in it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna say, like, you couldn't even attempt it. You wouldn't know where to begin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just make a mental note of where this thing is.
Yeah.
Can I quickly run back? Sneak back to the other room and make a mental note of the names on the most recent page as well.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna follow him and have a look behind the portrait in that room as well.
Alright. Roll me an investigation, and Varric, you're looking for the most recent names other than your own?
Yeah, basically I want any names that might be of use to us if we need any allies or something against them.
Alright.
So basically the most recent names that have been thrown in jail and what they were thrown in for, stuff like that. And can I write it down in a little notebook or something?
Yeah, of course you can. I'm just going to find them myself. And Redo, you try and move the portrait, and it doesn't move. There's nothing there.
Okay.
I just realized that I forgot to make any notes during this entire break-in.
That's all right. It's still being recorded, so hopefully it will be all right.
Yeah, I'll just make notes listening to the recording.
My plan.
Okay. The most recent names, you find 3 before you guys, and it's within the last year. You find one, I'm going to type it as well. You find one which is Leroy Ronald, and in the column next to his name, it says no, Arissa, not Leroy Jenkins. Bad Leroy Brown. All right. So you've got Leroy Ronell.
Yes.
And next to his name in the column, which has, well, it doesn't have a title on it. It just has words. It says fornication.
He sounds like fun.
Yes.
And the next one is Joden Wash, which I will also type. And next to his name, it says thief. And the final one you find is Hannah Ook. And next to that, it just says liar.
You put Lair.
What? Damn, also correct.
Oh shit. Wait a second.
Good names, I like them.
Thief. Yes, awesome, thank you.
All right.
Alright, should we get out?
I think that would be a good idea.
Are we getting out the way we came in?
One would assume so.
You're currently on the 2nd floor.
Oh shit, yeah. I think we should sneak back up and go out the same way.
Why if we open a window on the side of the building where the...
It would mean that we have a window open behind us, which means that we leave a track.
So what? It's an open window. No one's gonna think twice about that.
They might. Especially if tomorrow we come barging in with information that we only could have known by being there.
Can I try and persuade him to just forget about that and open the window?
Sure. You
How
roll
would persuasion versus a
persuasion.
player work?
If you roll persuasion, and Varric, if you roll, let me see.
What do I roll?
If you roll insight.
Insight. Okay, I'll roll insight. Plus 5 helps.
Oh god. I got a 16.
All right. He rolled a 17. So, well, he got a 17 total. So, because you're so close, Varric, what Reedu's saying makes sense because it's quicker and easier. But there's also a thing in the back of your head going, ooh, but you do think to yourself, you know, time is ticking, you know, we don't want to get caught here. You know.
Okay, so Varric would probably try to close the window behind us then.
Alright. So
Fine.
if you can both roll me a stealth for climbing out of the window. I'm assuming you're climbing out of one just in the hallway, not in a room, or...
Yeah, easiest to reach, probably.
Yeah. Ooh, 21 total for Varric.
I am so in love with my stealth modifier.
I have 0, so there's that.
I have 7. So, I take it we kinda sneak out?
Yes. You kind of sneak out. What did you get, Reedu?
16.
16, okay, sorry. Yes. You manage to sneak out, and while you're both standing on the windowsill, Varric, you manage to close the window enough that you think it'll just pass for still being shut.
Awesome.
And can you roll me I'm going to say acrobatics to get down.
Acrobatics. Okay.
To get down. Well, hang on, actually. Are you going to, like, jump? Or are you going to try and climb round and go past the windows? Because you're on the second floor. Although you are over the back garden, which means the guard by the back door will be able to see you. So if you're going to climb around the side again, then do athletics.
Wait a second, your sound cut out there. So, if we were to climb around, it would
which
be...
one are you going to do? Do you want to try and jump down onto the garden, but you're in the back of the house, so you're near
so
to
the guard
where
would see us.
that guy
I
is?
would climb around then, probably.
All right. Now, I'm gonna say to climb, do athletics, because I feel acrobatics is more jumping and landing,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and athletics is more strength and hauling yourself up and things.
Another fucking 12 roll.
So redo 11 and Varric 17. All right, yes, you manage to make your way round to the side of the house. Varric, you go first, and you manage to get yourself down onto the first story window. Redo, your foot slips on the sill, the same sill that you were trying to get up onto as you came in the first time, and you fall, but catch yourself, but your foot swings and taps the glass of the window beneath it, but it doesn't break. And you lower yourself gently down next to Varric, and you're both standing on the lower floor windowsill. You jump off. You're now at the side of the house in the garden.
Next to this big fucking fence.
Yes.
Is there any way at all to climb the fence?
You have a rope.
There are some trees
yeah.
and bushes and things. Do you have a rope?
Yeah, I have 50 foot. Is it 50? I have a dungeoneer's pack.
Oh yeah,
which
you'd have rope in
includes rope.
there. Yeah.
I'll climb up and be used to climbing trees, so I'll climb a tree and lower down to help Redo up.
Alright, so are you going to climb a tree, jump onto the top of the fence, and lower a thing down? Because you'd have to balance on the fence. It might be easier to get her up onto the tree as well, and then you can both hop over. Because it's not like a brick wall, it's like metal. Like metal bars.
Yeah. I'll do a tree then.
Alright.
I'll help her up into the tree.
Alright, can you both roll a strength?
Which one?
Was that stealth?
Strength.
Strength.
To
Shit.
pull her up.
Natural 20.
To pull her up and get into the tree. All right, you get up. Fine.
17 total.
Varric does help you, but you don't really need his help, and it's all cool. You get up onto the. You get up onto the fence again. You get up onto the fence again. Now from here, it's very tall, so you can jump straight down or climb down with the rope, or you can try and jump back onto the roof that you were on before and down from there.
Down.
I'll probably jump to the roof that I came from.
Okay. Are you both jumping to the roof, or is Reedy going down that way?
Reedy said she jumped straight down, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Redo. Roll me an acrobatics.
12.
All right. You jump. You land. And it's a higher drop than you anticipated. You're on it's like a almost up to a first story the second story level, and you feel one of your ankles twitch under you, and if you'd landed any harder, you'd have sprained and or broken your ankle. But it's just a bit painful at the moment, but you're all right. Varric, you get onto the other roof, and then you clamber down onto the lower one. And swing yourself down.
Do I have to roll for that, or do I just do it?
No, you just did that. You're now both on the pavement outside.
Did I notice Reedu's ankle, or at least that she's hurt?
Well, you would have if the DM lets me shout.
Do you want to shout?
Yes, please.
Alright, you shout very loudly, "Ow!" And you hear that, and you spot it.
I hand her some herbs.
Aww.
Do I roll anything for that, to heal her?
Roll a nature or medicine, whichever one's higher.
That would be medicine. I also have my proficiency bonus applying herbs.
Oh yes, add that one.
So that would be a total of 21.
Alright, the herbs get a bit soggy as you're out in the rain, and you apply them, and redo. You do feel a bit better. It's all good. You can walk, that's fine. No pain, no hurting. But you have shouted, and you hear a couple of the guards calling to each other from the front and the back of the house. Oi, who's there? What's that?
Shit. Are there some alleys or something where we can quickly hide in shadows and such?
Well.
Okay, before you answer that, I start running towards the tavern, shouting, "Shut up, shut up, shut up, make it stop."
Oh shit.
Alright.
Sorry, Barry.
She goes tearing down the road past the school, shouting, "Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up." The guards are going across the garden, shouting, "Who said that? Someone's there!" And they're calling to each other. What are you going to do?
Hiding.
Alright, you hide.
Bad idea.
You hide around the edge of the school. Roll me a stealth.
19 total.
Alright. Alright, yeah, neither of them spot you.
Yes.
They are now patrolling. Two of them are now patrolling around the perimeter of this side of the house. So you can pick your moment and dart away, but you'll have to roll another stealth.
I'll do that.
Alright.
I'll just roll it now then.
Yep.
That's gonna be a 20 total.
Alright, yep, that's fine. You manage to pick a moment when both guards are looking in two separate directions, and you tear off, sticking to the shadows by the edge of the school, and you head off back towards the tavern Respite in the same direction that Reedy went. Your feet splash through the puddles, and as you're keeping close to the edge of some of the walls, both of you, your feet get submerged in very deep puddles which you couldn't see in the darkness. And it's now bucketing down, and you're very, very wet as you get back into the tavern of Respite. And can you
Is
both
the
roll
fire
me?
still burning?
Can you both roll me a perception as you round the corner before you get in?
Yes, of course.
Ooh, 17 total.
All right, both of you individually, as you're coming around the corner and you're heading towards the Tavern of Respite, out of the corner of your eye, down the far corner, and I'll show you, well, I can't show you on the map, but I'll describe on the map. Down the far corner of that road, heading off towards the side of the town, you see the darting form of a dark, hooded figure disappearing into the shadows and away. You then go into the tavern. The fires are still lit. Joel is still behind the bar. He's doing some cleaning up. There's a couple of regulars slumped in their chairs, asleep before the fire, and you get the impression they're just going to be left there. And
I
Joel,
order a mead and just sit close to the fire, as close to the fire as possible.
Joel sort of looks relieved to see you come back, and he sort of goes, "Oh, yeah, all right." And when he brings you over your mead, he also brings you a towel.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Joel.
So,
I ask him for some wine and I start taking off my wet clothes.
all right. He brings you some wine and he brings you 2 towels. One that he puts under your pile of clothes to stop them from leaking, and one he hands to you.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Joe.
He says, that's all right. And he goes back behind the bar. And seeing as it's now very nearly midnight and half the party is asleep, shall we call it there for this evening?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I have work in the morning.
Yeah, seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Varric says he's casually looking away as not to intrude or offend, and also Apricity's bird has woken up, taken a poop on Vatheritas's bed, and gone back to sleep.
It was just the closest place.
Don't want to go outside in the rain, like, God, no. But yes.
She's doing half the time. Yeah, bed now would be good.
Yep.
Awesome sauces. Alright, guys, well, thank you for playing. And yes, Varric?
One last question. We saw a dark hooded figure.
Yep.
Which way was he going again?
It was going off round towards the edge of the town, past where the marketplace is.
Okay. So towards the gates.
Yeah, towards that area, yes.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. Well, I see that tomorrow some questioning, maybe some sneaky.
I like this stealth mission.
Well, to be honest, I think they're going to have to give us a rundown in their own words too.
Oh yeah, I have no idea what's going on. I'm still having... But,
Hey, can I just say, Ritu was really good tonight. Okay.
Yes, she was.
I'm surprised that you're both back alive.
I do think in video game language this would be those Varric remembers this moments.
Yes, definitely. And I do write that next to a lot of my NPCs in big capital letters that I then highlight later. They remember the offence that my players have caused them. So I get to do something fun now, you guys. Are you ready?
Yes.
Alright, everybody. Thank you very much for playing this Tuesday edition of Blunders and Bothwellians, the Wounded Witch edition. Tuesday party. And out. And everybody does a little dance.